Chapter 598. I didn't expect this person to possess such a terrifying battle soul. Qin Feiyang whispered. As everyone knew, speed was one of the keys to victory in a battle, and Tan Wu's gravity domain could suppress half of his speed. In the face of such a situation, if it was anyone else, it would be a disaster. If nothing unexpected happened, relying on this powerful battle soul, everyone here wouldn't be Tan Wu's match even if they added up. However, Qin Feiyang was confident and wasn't worried at all, because Tan Wu was very unlucky to have met this white-eyed wolf. Hurry up and help Wolf King. At the same time, Dong Jingyang's group of 6 noticed the situation on Wolf King's side and immediately rushed to support Wolf King without hesitation. Qin Feiyang said, "Don't worry about it, you guys just need to deal with those remnants of Hizhou." The 6 of them were surprised, but they didn't ask any further. They turned around and chased after the fleeing people. After this period of time together, they could only use the word unfathomable to describe Qin Feiyang. Since Qin Feiyang dared to say this, then he must have a certain degree of confidence. Soon, the 6 of them chased into the forest and disappeared. At the same time, Wolf King stood on the ground, looked at Tan Wu with a big grin, and said, "Do you really think that your battle soul is invincible? Pretending to be calm? Haha. Continue to pretend. I'll see how long you can pretend." Tan Wu laughed incessantly. "Pretend? Let me tell you, in terms of battle soul, you are not qualified." Wolf King snorted coldly, and a terrifying aura immediately broke out of his body. Following closely, its entire body emitted a resplendent golden light, and a golden beast shadow instantly appeared out of thin air. This beast shadow still couldn't be seen clearly, only an outline could be seen. However, its body was extremely huge. Its head reached the sky and its feet stepped on the ground. It was as if the supreme beast had descended, causing everyone present to tremble in fear. What battle soul is this? Tan Wu stopped in his tracks and looked at the golden beast shadow. A wave of uncontrollable fear emerged from the depths of his heart. What battle soul? Haha. My fighting soul is the nemesis of all fighting souls. I won't be the one in despair. It will be you. The Wolf King laughed wildly. As soon as it finished speaking, its eyes became extremely sharp as it shouted, "Innate ability strip!" Immediately, as soon as the golden beast opened its mouth, a violent gale suddenly appeared in this world, causing sand and stones to fly everywhere. The battle soul above Tan Wu's head, which was also that black ancient edge, immediately flew towards that wide mouth. How could this be? Tan Wu turned pale with fright and made a prompt decision, preparing to disperse the battle soul. However, he discovered to his horror that the battle soul was already out of his control. An uneasy premonition arose in his heart. At this moment, Qin Feiyang said, "White-eyed wolf, don't deprive him of his fighting spirit." Wolf King raised his eyebrows. "Deprive the fighting soul? What do you mean?" But Tan Wu had a look of bewilderment. Swish! Qin Feiyang executed phantom steps and swiftly landed in front of Tan Wu, saying coolly, "The white-eyed wolf's fighting soul's innate ability is to deprive others of their fighting spirit. In other words, once devoured by it, you'll lose your fighting spirit forever." What? Tan Wu was greatly shocked in his heart. Lose his fighting spirit forever? How could this be? One had to know. The reason why he could establish himself in He Province and become the Inner Palace's #1 person was because of this fighting soul. He could show disdain for heroes and intimidate everyone. Even the 10 great commanders of He Province had to be somewhat courteous to him. It was also because of this fighting soul. If he lost his fighting soul, without a doubt, he would definitely fall from the altar. At that time, he would be no different from an ordinary 2-star battle sect. Then everything that he had before would naturally turn into bubbles and shadows. This kind of drastic change was what he could not bear. But he also suspected whether or not Qin Feiyang was bluffing him. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "Don't doubt I'm not bluffing you. Now I'll give you a chance. Submit to me and serve me as your master for life, and I'll make the white-eyed wolf spare your life." Haha, serve you as my master? Do you think that's possible? Do you have this qualification? Tan Wu laughed loudly without ceasing, his eyes full of disdain. Qin Feiyang did not get angry either and said coolly, "Whether I have this qualification or not, you'll know in the future." Amen. Tan Wu looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise and said, "May I ask what your distinguished self's name is?" Qin Feiyang said, "Qin Feiyang." Tan Wu's eyes went wide and he said in surprise, "You're Qin Feiyang?" "That's me." Qin Feiyang nodded his head. "Haha. I've heard that spiritual states Qin Feiyang is not only an alchemy prodigy, but also a martial Dao freak. Looking at it now, it's nothing more than this." Tan Wu shook his head and mocked. "How so?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "If you're really a martial Dao freak, why are you only an 8-star war emperor?" Tan Wu sneered. "When I was 15 years old, I started cultivating. Now that I'm 21 years old, more than 6 years have passed before I broke through to the 8-star war emperor. I'm indeed not worthy of the words martial Dao freak." Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. "What? Only cultivated for 6 years?" Tan Wu was dumbstruck. In 6 years' time, he broke through to the 8-star war emperor. This speed was simply rare in 10,000 years. If this wasn't worthy of being a martial Dao freak, then who was? It wasn't an exaggeration to say that he was a peerless genius. However, he really couldn't do it if he wanted to serve him as his master for the rest of his life. Although he wasn't considered a peerless genius, his talent was considered first-rate in He province, and even in the entire Great Qin Empire. His pride didn't allow him to be someone else's servant. Wolf King said, "Little Qin Zi has never taken the initiative to subdue someone. You're the first, so you should feel honored." "Kill me." Tan Wu shook his head and closed his eyes, waiting for death to descend. "You think I don't dare to kill you?" Wolf King's eyes flickered with killing intent. "Wait." Qin Feiyang stretched out his hand to stop Wolf King, and looked at Tan Wu. "Everything in the world is nothing more than fame and fortune. As long as you follow me, I promise here that I'll give you fame and fortune that no one can compare to. There will also be a place for you in the imperial capital." Tan Wu's body and mind trembled, and he was moved. The imperial capital, the holy land that countless people yearned for, was like an unattainable fortress that made people feel weak both physically and mentally. However, in this person's mouth, it was as if the things in front of him were at his fingertips. Where did this confidence come from? Wolf King said, "There's only one chance, cherish it. What you said is indeed very tempting, but it's nothing to me. Because I have this confidence. As long as you let me go, I can still enter the imperial capital with my ability." Tan Wu looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang said, "All right then, I'll let you go now." "What?" Wolf King was stunned. Tan Wu's face was also full of astonishment. Qin Feiyang continued, "I can let you go, but everyone else has to die." "Why? Don't you know that this is letting a tiger return to the mountain?" Tan Wu asked in disbelief. "Since I dare to let you go, I'm naturally not afraid of you stirring up trouble. Hurry up and leave before I change my mind." After Qin Feiyang finished talking, he nodded at Wolf King. Wolf King had a stomach full of doubts, but he also did as he was told, putting away his battle soul. Tan Wu also immediately dispersed his battle soul. After pondering for a while, he clasped his hands and said, "Today, take it as me, Tan Wu, owing you a favor." Finished talking, Tan Wu did not hesitate at all, turning around and leaving quickly. As for the others in He province, he did not care, nor did he have the strength to care. Wolf King frowned and said, "Little Qin Zi, your way of doing things, isn't it a little lacking in consideration?" Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "I've thought about it carefully. Then I can't figure it out." "Do you like him so much?" Wolf King was puzzled. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "I don't like him. I fancy his battle soul. If we can use it, it will definitely be of great help to us when we enter the imperial capital." "That's true. Suppressing half of his speed is equivalent to seizing half of the chance of victory. But he's proud and arrogant. It's impossible for him to submit. And you also know how great a threat his existence is to us. If we can't use him, it's best to eradicate him." Wolf King said. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Don't worry, sooner or later, he will come to me." Wolf King opened his mouth to speak, but in the end, he swallowed it back. At the same time, in the distant forest, screams could be heard endlessly. Although there were many people in He province, their cultivations were only at the battle emperor level. Facing Dong Junyang's 6 battle masters, there was naturally no suspense. Several hundred breaths passed. The 6 of them walked out of the forest one after another. Their bodies were covered in blood and full of killing intent. Qin Feiyang asked, "How was it?" Dong Junyang said with a smile, "Not a single one is left. We've dealt with them all. Where's Tan Wu?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "We couldn't stop him. He slipped away." "Slipped away?" Morong Xiong raised his eyebrows and said unhappily, "So you're not confident either. If I had known earlier, I would have gotten rid of him first." Shenlong said, "Tan Wu is not just a 2-star battle master. His battle soul's ability can be said to be heaven-defying. It's normal that Qin Feiyang and Wolf King couldn't stop him." "That's right. Even if we join hands to kill him, it would only be a few more deaths. It's already amazing that Qin Feiyang and Wolf King could force him to escape." Jiang Wei followed. Morong Xiong frowned. "I'm just complaining. Do you have to have such a big opinion of me?" Shenlong coldly snorted. "Humph, we're just talking about the facts. If you don't like it, don't listen." Morong Xiong nodded his head and said impatiently, All right. I'll stop talking in the future. Is that all right?" "All right, there's nothing to argue about. Now we should celebrate." Shenmei laughed. With that said, a smile crawled onto everyone's faces. Although Tan Wu had slipped away, none of the other people in He province were left. Most importantly, with 4 less 1-star battle masters, it could be considered a complete victory. Dong Junyang asked, "Qin Feiyang, what should we do next?" Shenlong and the others also looked at Qin Feiyang. Although the captain was Ren Wushuang in name, in everyone's eyes, Qin Feiyang was the real leader. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and sighed. "After the confrontation with Kong Province, Cloud Province, Yu Province, and He Province, I feel that my strength is far from enough, so I plan to go into seclusion." Seclusion? The 6 of them immediately frowned. It had already been half a month since the last time he went into seclusion. The people from the other provinces might have already walked out of the death swamp. Chapter 599. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 6 of them and said with a smile, "I only said that I would be in seclusion. I didn't say that you guys would also be in seclusion." "What do you mean? Are you going to be separated from us for the time being?" The frown on their faces deepened. Dong Junyang, Shenlong, Shenmei, and Jiang Wei really didn't want to be separated from Qin Feiyang. Because without Qin Feiyang, it was equivalent to losing a strategist. As for Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong, they were purely worried that after being separated from Qin Feiyang, they wouldn't be able to find the key to Shenmei's consecutive breakthroughs. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "It's not that." Hearing that, only then did everyone heave a sigh of relief. But they were also very puzzled. How was it possible to be in seclusion and not be separated? Qin Feiyang walked over to Shenmei's side and whispered a few words in her ear. After listening, Shenmei revealed a look of realization, and at the same time, there was a trace of surprise in her eyes. Then, Qin Feiyang first sent Wolf King to the castle, then took out a set of clothes from the Qingquan bag and laid it flat on the ground. He looked at Shenmei and asked, "Do you remember what I said?" Shenmei nodded. "Be careful," Qin Feiyang warned the 6 of them, then walked to the clothes on the ground, and with a flash, disappeared without a trace. He went to the castle. Dong Junyang and the others looked at Shenmei in surprise. Shenmei nodded in response. Then she bent down and grabbed the 4 corners of the clothes. She wrapped the clothes together like a bundle. "What are you doing?" Dongfang Wuhan was puzzled. Shenmei didn't answer, put the wrapped clothes into the Qingquan bag, and said with a smile, "Let's go." Dongfang Wuhan didn't ask further. The 6 of them closely followed each other and headed towards the depths of the death swamp. Actually, the reason was simple. When Qin Feiyang entered the castle would fall on top of the clothes. Shenmei wrapped the clothes, which was equivalent to wrapping the castle in the clothes. In other words, the castle was now in Shenmei's Qingquan bag. Of course, doing so was very risky, because if it was someone with evil intentions, it was very likely that they would take the opportunity to threaten Qin Feiyang. Therefore Qin Feiyang chose Shen Mei. She had been in contact with Shen Mei for a long time. Shen Mei could be considered an upright person. In addition, she was like a sister to Ren Wuxia, so she definitely wouldn't harm him. Inside the castle, everyone went into seclusion to cultivate. Especially Ren Wuxia. When Shen Mei stepped into the war sect first, she couldn't help but start to feel anxious. Outside, Dong Junyang and the others traveled day and night without rest. For the first half of the month, the road was very peaceful, but after half a month, they encountered a swamp. They were everywhere. Moreover, many of the swamps were covered by dead branches and rotten leaves. They were also covered by grass and shrubs, making it impossible for people to guard against them. All 6 of them had fallen into the swamp before. At first, they didn't take it to heart, but when they really fell into the swamp, they realized how scary it was. Once trapped, there was no way to climb out. And the more he struggled, the faster he sank. After a long time, they all felt very aggrieved. One had to know that they were all war sect masters. Normally, a mere swamp would be like walking on flat ground. It wouldn't pose a threat to them at all. But now, they regarded the swamp as a dragon's pool and a tiger's den. Every step they took was like walking on thin ice. It was all thanks to the gravity in the air. But even though they were aggrieved, they still continued to walk. However, their speed slowed down a lot, and they didn't dare to rush at night. Because their vision at night was too poor, they would fall into the swamp if they weren't careful. As they continued to go deeper, bigger troubles began to appear frequently. There were actually all kinds of fierce beasts hidden in the swamp, and they were all very powerful. The weakest fierce beast was an 8-star war emperor. The key was that they were not bound by the swamp. They were like fish in water in the mud, coming and going freely. From time to time, they would jump out to ambush them, causing them to have a headache. As a result, the 6 of them had to pay attention to their feet, and on the other hand, they had to be careful of the fierce beast's sneak attacks. Their speed was undoubtedly slower. To be able to travel 5 miles a day was already considered fast. In the blink of an eye, 4 months passed. Roughly calculating, Qin Feiyang had been in the 9 Nether Yellow Spring for more than 5 months, almost half a year. And on this day, his aura suddenly erupted, soaring straight to a 9-star war emperor. At the same time, he opened his eyes, and 2 bright rays of light burst out from his eyes. I finally broke through. Feeling the surging power in his body, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but clench his hands tightly. But when he looked at Fatso beside him, he let out a long sigh, full of deep helplessness. Because Fatso had already broken through to the 9-star war emperor, and was making his final effort to break through to War Master. But what about him? When he was in Yunzhou, he had already broken through to the 8-star war emperor. Later, he was imprisoned by the old man and cultivated in seclusion for 3 months. In addition to the 5 months in the 9 Nether Yellow Spring, it took him a total of 8 months to break through to the 9-star war emperor. This speed, in the eyes of Wu Yan and the others, was already very amazing, but Qin Feiyang was very dissatisfied. But fortunately, he had finally broken through to the 9-star war emperor, and could open the 4th and 5th level of the Gate of Potential, making up for the gap in the past. And as long as these 2 levels were opened, it was only a matter of time before he surpassed Fatso. With the help of Wolf King, Qin Feiyang smoothly opened the 4th and 5th level. He didn't go outside, but stayed in the ancient castle. Wu Yan and the others were envious, but they didn't know that Qin Feiyang was now taking the potential pill, and thought it was still the potential pill. Of course, this was deliberately done by Qin Feiyang, because once the potential pill was exposed, it would definitely attract a lot of trouble. After successfully opening the 4th and 5th level, seeing that Dong Junyang and the others outside could still handle it, he continued to cultivate in seclusion. Now, only by breaking through to War Master would he have the capital to look down on the 9 states. There was also Ren Wuxia worth mentioning. She was originally talented, and with the top-grade battle chi pill that Qin Feiyang gave her, she also broke through to the 4-star War Emperor not long after Qin Feiyang broke through to the 9-star War Emperor. And the 9 songs yellow dragon pill that Qin Feiyang gave her was 5 pill veins, which was enough for her to break through to 5 small realms. Therefore, on the day she broke through to the 4-star War Emperor, she took the 9 songs yellow dragon pill and stepped into the 9-star War Emperor. Wolf King also immediately helped her open all the gates of potential, and her cultivation speed instantly soared, catching up to Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. Another 2 months passed. On this day, Fatso finally stepped into the 1-star War Master. The pangolin also broke through to the 8-star War Emperor. Luo Qinxue, Lin Yi, and Lu Hong's cultivation had also made great progress. Qin Feiyang also faintly felt that it would take at most 2 months to step into the War Master. This made him sigh. The gate of potential really couldn't be faked. Opening one more layer, the effect was completely different. Everyone had been in the 9 nether yellow springs for more than 7 months. Qin Feiyang was ready to step into the War Master in one go. But on this day, Dong Xingyang and the others outside encountered big trouble. A swamp lay in front of the 6 people, emitting a pungent stench. This swamp was countless times larger than the swamps they encountered in the past few months. They couldn't even find the edge. At a glance, it was all mud. The 6 people stopped at the edge, all frowning. In the swamp, it wasn't that there was no solid ground. Every 100 meters or dozens of meters, there was a mound of earth, leading to the deepest part of the swamp. These mounds were at most 3 or 4 meters, like a wilderness island in the sea. And on each mound, there were all kinds of tenacious shrubs and weeds, and even some trees as thick as an arm. However, although there was solid ground, they couldn't fly, so they could only watch. A moment later, Shenmei retracted her gaze and looked at Shenlong and the others. She frowned and said, "What should we do now? There are only 2 ways. Either we take a detour, or find a way to pass through those mounds." Dong Xingyang said. Shenlong said, "The swamp is too big. If we take a detour, I'm afraid it will delay us a lot of time." Dongfang Wuhan nodded and said, "Indeed, but if we pass through those mounds, our situation will be very dangerous. Yes, it's already very difficult to climb up those mounds. If we encounter a sneak attack from a beast, I'm afraid we will really die here." Jiang Wei sighed, his face full of worry. Shenmei said, "Qin Feiyang has many ideas. Why don't we let him come out with some ideas? There's no need. If we go to him for such a small matter, wouldn't it seem that we are too incompetent? For safety's sake, let's take a detour," Dong Xingyang said. "All right." Shen Mei and the others nodded. Thus, the 6 of them walked along the edge of the swamp towards the south. This walk took 2 full days, but this swamp seemed to be endless, and there was no safe route. Damn it! What the hell is this place? After 2 full days of searching, the 6 of them were a little impatient. But in comparison, Dong Xingyang was a little calmer. He scanned the swamp and turned his head to look at the jungle behind him. Suddenly, he frowned and said, "Do you feel that something is wrong?" "What's wrong?" The 5 of them were surprised. Before this, most of the swamps we passed through had beasts lurking. But here, in such a large swamp, why can't we see a single beast? Dong Xingyang said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Shen Mei and the others couldn't help but frown. Morong Xiong said, "Could it be that there are no beasts in this swamp?" Dongfang Wuhan said, "If that's the case, then it's a great thing for us." Without beasts, they didn't have to worry about being sneak attacked by beasts. They could also find a way to use those mounds to cross this swamp. Dong Xingyang said, "Let's go ahead and look. If we can't find a safe route, we'll think of another way." Okay. Shen Mei and the others nodded. But even after searching until dark, they still didn't find anything. The 6 of them finally gave up and stopped on a large stone. They rested for the night and began to discuss countermeasures early the next morning. Finally, there was only one countermeasure that they came up with, which was to use trees to build a bridge between the 2 mounds. Building a bridge was a very simple matter for people with their cultivation base. However, they didn't act for a long time. They were all worried about whether there were any beasts in this swamp, because once they entered the swamp, it would be difficult to turn back. If they encountered a beast, it would be a disaster. Phew! Finally, Dong Xingyang took a deep breath and said, "Anyway, We have to cross this swamp sooner or later. There's no need to hesitate. Let's start preparing. That's true. I'll go look for the wood for the bridge. You guys go look around and try your luck. Morongxiong, come with me to help. Chapter 600. When the two disappeared into the jungle, Shenlong frowned and said, "Two people are needed to find wood? Isn't it obvious? They must want to say something in private, and they don't want us to hear it." Dong Jungyang sneered. And Shenlong raised his eyebrows and said in a deep voice, "I didn't expect them to still be so stubborn. Do you want me to follow them?" "No need." Dong Jungyang waved his hand and said, "As long as they are a fox, they will reveal their tails sooner or later. Let's go. We'll do as they wish, and go ahead to take a look." The four got up one after another, and slowly walked along the edge of the swamp. At the same time, Dongfang Wuhan and Morongxiong stopped beside a big tree. Morongxiong turned around, and glanced at the jungle behind him. Seeing that no one was following, he whispered, "This Qin Feiyang is really treacherous." "Why do you say so?" Dongfang Wuhan asked. "Think about it. He let us travel outside every day, but he himself is in seclusion in the castle, enjoying the fruits of others' labor. I think if this continues, I'm afraid his strength will surpass us." Morongxiong coldly snorted. His cultivation speed is indeed fast, but it's absolutely impossible to catch up with us in such a short time. However, we really can't let him continue his seclusion. I called you here to discuss with you how to lure him out of the castle, Dongfang Wuhan said. In fact, along the way, he had been looking for an opportunity. However, the fierce beasts they encountered along the way were not particularly strong. They could easily deal with them. If they still let Qin Feiyang out, it would obviously be unreasonable. After pondering for a moment, Morongxiong's eyes lit up as he whispered, "I have a plan. If we're lucky, we might be able to kill one or two." "Say it." Dongfang Wuhan was slightly taken aback, and immediately became interested. Morongxiong whispered in Dongfang Wuhan's ear, and Dongfang Wuhan's eyes gradually lit up. Back to Dong Jingyang's group of four. After walking for half an hour without finding anything, they turned back and returned to the place where they cultivated last night. This round trip took half an hour. Dongfang Wuhan and the other two were already waiting here. There was a log beside him that was more than 150 meters long. As for its thickness, even if several people were to join hands, they probably wouldn't be able to encircle it. "How is it?" Seeing the four return, Dongfang Wuhan asked with a smile. "Nothing." Dong Jingyang shook his head. "Looks like we can only cross this swamp. Fortunately, we were lucky. Morongxiong and I found an ancient tree. I've measured this ancient tree. It's 152 meters long. According to my observations, the distance between each mound is no more than 130 meters. As long as there are no mishaps, there shouldn't be a problem to cross it." Dongfang Wuhan pointed at the ancient tree beside him and said with a smile. Dong Jungyang looked at the ancient tree from the beginning to the end and nodded. "It is indeed enough, but I suggest that we cut this ancient tree into two." "Why? Isn't this good?" Dongfang Wuhan was puzzled. Morongxiong nodded and said, "That's right, the whole tree is stronger than being cut in half, right? I suggest this for the sake of everyone's safety, because if it's cut in half, both sides are flat. Walking on a flat surface is definitely safer than walking on a round trunk. As for its strength, we can't consider it at all. Such a thick ancient tree, let alone being cut in half, even if it's chopped into firewood, it's still not something you and I can break." After Dong Jingyang finished speaking, he took out a battle sword from his chinquan bag. With a wave of his hand, the sword chi was like a rainbow. Accompanied by a cracking sound, the ancient tree was cut in half on the spot. But just as the ancient tree was cut in half, Dong Jingyang and the other three suddenly frowned. The middle part of the ancient tree was hollow. "What's going on?" Dong Jingyang suddenly raised his head and looked at Dongfang Wuhan and Morongxiong. His eyes were extremely sharp. One had to know. This was not a trivial matter. If they didn't cut the ancient tree now, and didn't find that the trunk was hollow, then when they reached the bridge, as long as they used force, the trunk would be broken. At that time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Because the hollow position was in the middle, once it broke, everyone would fall into the center between the two mounds. At that time, both sides wouldn't touch the ground. Even if the gods descended to the mortal world, they wouldn't be able to save them. We don't know either. Facing the aggressive gazes of Dong Xingyang and the other three, Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong panicked. Shenlong said in a deep voice, "This tree was found by you. How could you not know?" Dongfang Wuhan said anxiously, "The tree was indeed found by us, but we really didn't know it was hollow inside." Speaking of which, Dongfang Wuhan suddenly raised his eyebrows and looked at the four people. "Are you suspecting that Murong Xiong and I did something? Isn't it? Hollow the trunk, and when we pass by, you only need to do something to make us fall into the swamp and be beheaded." Originally, I was wondering why the two of you had objections when I proposed to cut the trunk in half. So it's because there's a mystery hidden in it. To be honest, I have always believed that you have sincerely repented this time. But I never thought that you still have the ambition of a wolf. Dong Xingyang was furious, killing intent flashing in his eyes. Dongfang Wuhan's face was green and red. When Dong Xingyang finished speaking, he angrily said, "If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext." Jiang Wei shouted, "The facts are right in front of us. And this is still called wanting to condemn someone. All right. Since you say so, then let's talk about the facts. If Murong Xiong and I want to hollow out the heart of the tree, do we have to break the bark first?" Dongfang Wuhan said. "That's right." The four nodded. Dongfang Wuhan said, "Then take a closer look. Is there any trace of the bark in the hollow area?" The four of them looked closer and raised their eyebrows. The bark was actually intact. They also found that the hollow area seemed to have been gnawed by ants. It was incomplete, and the traces looked very old. Moreover, after careful observation, the middle of the trunk was hollow, but it was very small and inconspicuous. They didn't see it before. Discovering this, Dong Xingyang and the other three looked at each other. It seemed that they had wrongly blamed Dongfang Wuhan and Jiang Wei. In the swamp, there were many insects such as ants, and this tree heart should be the cause of the insect damage. Dongfang Wuhan smiled coldly and said, "Now what else do you have to say?" Dong Xingyang frowned, cupped his hands and said, "I'm sorry I was careless and misunderstood you." Alas, Dongfang Wuhan sighed deeply and said, "I don't mean to blame anyone. I just want to say that we are from the same sect and partners, so we should trust each other more." Jiang Wei coldly snorted and said, "If you hadn't left us behind and escaped alone, would we be so worried now? In the end, it is indeed our fault. But now we have already repented, so why are we still holding on to it? Is this good for everyone?" Dongfang Wuhan said with melancholy. Shenlong said, "All right, this matter is over. Let's go find another ancient tree." Murong Xiong said with dissatisfaction, "You guys go this time, lest you say that we did something." The four of them looked at each other and turned to walk into the jungle. As soon as the four of them left, Murong Xiong's face sank and said angrily, "This Dong Xingyang really deserves to die." Dongfang Wuhan said, "Lower your voice, don't let them hear you." Murong Xiong looked at the jungle where Dong Xingyang and the other three had disappeared and said secretly, "What do we do now?" "Wait and see," Dongfang Wuhan said secretly, and then turned to look at the endless swamp, his eyes flickering. This matter was actually not that simple. Even though they weren't the ones who emptied the tree's core, they had done it on purpose. In other words, this ancient tree was deliberately found by Dongfang Wuhan and Jiang Wei. Their purpose was the same as Dong Xingyang's guess. When the bridge was built, and they passed by it, the ancient tree would be broken with a little trick. At that time, even if they couldn't kill Dong Xingyang and the other three, they could at least kill one or two. At the same time, they could also lure Qin Feiyang out. It could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. However, they hadn't expected that Dong Xingyang would cut the ancient tree in half, killing their plan before it was even born. It would be a lie to say that they weren't angry, but facing Dong Xingyang and the other three, they could only endure it. After a while, the four of them walked out of the jungle. Dong Xingyang carried a thick ancient tree on his shoulder, similar to the ancient tree that Dongfang Wuhan and Jiang Wei had found. Bang! Coming to the edge of the swamp, Dong Jungyang put down the ancient tree, and then took out his sword and cut it in half. There were also some hollow parts and some white ants, but it wasn't serious. Then, Dong Jungyang picked up the ancient tree and stood up, then slowly put it down towards the nearest mound in the swamp. Bang! Accompanied by a weak sound, the other end of the ancient tree gently fell on the mound, and the bridge was completed. Dong Jungyang got up and wiped his sweat. Looking at the bridge, he turned to look at Shen Mei and the other four, and said in a deep voice, "Are you all ready?" As long as they set foot on this bridge, there would be no turning back. Huff! The five of them took a deep breath, and nodded to Dong Jungyang. "Then let's go." Dong Jungyang waved his hand, and took the lead, walking on the bridge towards the mound on the opposite side. Shen Mei and the other four followed closely behind him. From beginning to end, the eyes of the 6 people were locked on the swamp under the bridge. If there was the slightest movement, they would immediately be on alert. They didn't know if it was because they were lucky or because there were really no fierce beasts in the swamp. After about 100 breaths, they climbed up the first mound without any danger. The mound was covered with shrubs and weeds. The soil was a little soft, but they could still stand on it. They didn't dare to be the slightest bit careless. After careful inspection, and confirming that there was no danger here, they looked for the next foothold. Shen Mei said, "Look, the small mound on the left is about 130 meters away from us. This ancient tree is just enough." "Okay, let's go there." Dong Jungyang nodded, picked up the ancient tree again, and quickly built the bridge. On the way, they still didn't encounter any danger. Next. Chapter 601. Dongfang Wuhan smiled and said, "According to the current situation, we only need to spend some time and effort to pass through this swamp." Dong Jungyang glanced at him, looked at the quagmire in front of them, and said with a serious face, "There is no danger now, but it doesn't mean that there is no danger later. We must not take it lightly." Several people nodded. The group once again stepped on the bridge and walked towards the next mound. Time was like sand between fingers. The day passed quickly and night fell. On this day, the 6 people crossed more than 100 mounds in a row, but they still could not see the end of the swamp. But fortunately, there was not a single beast on the way. Because of this, they all relaxed a lot. Even Dong Jungyang was not as cautious as he was at first. They did not encounter any beasts all day, which was enough to show that there were indeed no beasts in the swamp. At this moment, the mound they were on was more than 10 feet in diameter, overgrown with weeds and flying insects everywhere. But these were just ordinary flying insects, which did not pose the slightest threat to the 6 people. Dong Jungyang looked up at the blood moon in the sky and said, "We don't know how big this swamp is. I suggest that we rest here for the night." The others naturally had no objection. First, because this whole day of rushing made them feel a little tired. Second, because the void of the death swamp was still filled with blood mist, and the blood moon's brilliance was not very bright. The visibility at night was almost only 10 meters. Therefore, it was the wisest choice to rest here. After a little discussion about tomorrow's matters, the 6 people sat cross-legged together and closed their eyes to rest. The swamp at night was as silent as death. Occasionally, the cries of insects would ring out, making the atmosphere even weirder. Gurgle. Suddenly, a faint sound rang out in the swamp. The location of the sound was 100 meters away from the mound, where Dong Jungyang and the others were. On the surface of the swamp, there were bubbles the size of a baby's fist. Moreover, those bubbles were still moving. The direction of movement was the mound where Dong Jungyang and the others were. Moreover, after a few breaths, bubbles also rose from the swamp in the other 3 directions. If one looked carefully, they would find that the mud was still slightly turbulent, as if something was swimming inside. The distance was getting closer and closer. When the bubbles appeared about 30 meters away from him, Dong Jungyang suddenly opened his eyes, which were filled with bewilderment. What was that sound? He stood up and looked around. When he heard the gurgling sound, he became nervous. On guard! Without the slightest hesitation he shouted. Shen Long and the others immediately opened their eyes. Shen Mei transmitted her voice. "What happened?" "Listen carefully," Dong Jungyang said. The five of them calmed down and listened for a while. Then, they stood up together and stood back to back, looking at the swamp in all directions in surprise. 5 or 6 breaths passed. The bubbles finally entered their line of sight. But these 5 or 6 breaths felt as long as 5 or 6 centuries. When they saw the bubbles emerging from the bottom of the swamp, their expressions changed. Because it was already very obvious that there were ferocious beasts under the swamp. Dong Jungyang shouted, "Quickly protect that ancient tree." That ancient tree was still between the two mounds. If it was destroyed by the ferocious beasts, they would probably be trapped here for the rest of their lives. Because on the mound where they were now, there were only weeds and not even a small sapling. If the ancient tree was destroyed, there would be nothing for them to build a bridge, and naturally, they would not be able to leave this place. Hearing Dong Jungyang shout, Jiang Wei immediately went forward and hugged the ancient tree with both hands. With a low shout, he quickly stood up. Dong! But at this moment, a pitch-black giant tail rushed out of the quagmire and blasted towards the ancient tree like lightning. For a moment, the place was filled with strong winds and mud. Not good. Dong Jungyang's expression changed. The ferocious beasts in the swamp were too cunning. The first thing they thought of was to cut off their escape route. Without any delay, Dong Jungyang immediately activated his fighting soul. Crash! An iron chain as thick as an arm broke through the air, emitting a black light. Like a giant python, it quickly wrapped around the giant tail. Freeze! Following closely, Dong Jungyang shouted in a low voice, and the giant tail was immediately frozen in the void. Jiang Wei also took the opportunity to carry Gu Mu and retreat to the side of the others. At the same time, his battle aura formed a boundary to protect Gu Mu. I want to see what is causing trouble, Shen Long. Gu Mu was safe and sound. Dong Jungyang also heaved a sigh of relief, but his eyes immediately became extremely sharp as he shouted coldly at Shen Long. Shen Long waved his hand, and a golden battle aura shot up into the sky and shone in all directions. This place suddenly became as bright as day. At this moment, they also saw the giant tail that was frozen in place. The giant tail was as thick as a bucket and covered with dark scales. Shen Mei shouted, "It's the tail of a ferocious crocodile." Roar! Dong! But before she finished speaking, a series of roars exploded in the surrounding swamps. Then the swamps were in an uproar. One by one, the ferocious crocodiles rushed out of the mud and rushed towards the mound where Dong Jungyang and the others were. The 6 of them took a look, and their faces instantly turned pale. These ferocious crocodiles had the body of a crocodile, but their heads were like that of a dragon. They looked extremely ferocious. Their bodies were covered with black scales, and they had a hard texture. And there were no less than 100 of them. The aura they emitted was basically at the level of a 9-star combat emperor. In fact, Dong Jungyang and the others did not care about the cultivation of these ferocious crocodiles. The only thing that scared them was that there were too many of these ferocious crocodiles. If they destroyed the mound under their feet in the process of fighting, then they would lose their foothold. At that time, they would definitely be buried in this swamp. Dong Jungyang shouted, "Jiang Wei, you are responsible for protecting this place and Gu Mu. The rest of you follow me and attack. We must kill them all before they get close." Boom! After he finished speaking, 5 powerful auras suddenly exploded. Moreover, the 5 of them attacked with battle arts, and their killing intent soared to the heavens. Whoosh! The 5 battle arts blasted into the group of crocodiles, and a terrifying wave of air suddenly surged in all directions. Here mud rose up hundreds of feet, covering the sky and the moon. Jiang Wei's pupils contracted, and he immediately mobilized his battle aura to cover the surface of the mound, blocking the impact of the wave of air. But those ferocious crocodiles were not so lucky. More than 30 ferocious crocodiles were instantly split into 4 or 5 pieces. Blood dyed the surroundings red, and painful wails resounded through the sky. The other ferocious crocodiles were also sent flying, riddled with wounds. Again, Dong Jungyang shouted coldly. In order to survive, the 5 of them did not hold back. In the blink of an eye, the 5 battle arts evolved again and blasted towards the ferocious crocodiles that were sent flying. In less than 3 breaths, More than 20 ferocious crocodiles' blood splattered on the spot. Including the first wave, half of them had already been killed. Roar! The remaining half of the ferocious crocodiles that were still alive floated in the mud 100 meters away, roaring at Dong Jungyang and the others. Their bell-like fierce eyes were filled with resentment and ferocity. Dong Jungyang's gaze was like lightning, sweeping across the group of crocodiles and shouted, "If you want to live, hurry up and scram!" As soon as he finished speaking, the group of crocodiles dove into the mud and disappeared. The 6 of them were stunned. They really left. Shen Long looked at Dong Jungyang and teased, "It seems that they were shocked by your demonic might." Demonic might? Dong Jungyang shook his head with a wry smile and said, "No matter what, we're finally safe now." Rumble. However, before the 6 of them could breathe a sigh of relief, the ground under their feet suddenly shook. What's the situation? The 6 of them were bewildered. Not good. They want to destroy this place. Shen Mei shouted in shock and anger. What? Everyone was aghast. These damn beasts, aren't they too smart? Shen Long, you illuminate a little more. Jiang Wei, quickly find a place to rest. Morong Xiong shouted anxiously. In this short period of time, the ground under their feet had already cracked. Seeing this, how could Shen Long and Jiang Wei dare to hesitate? Shen Long waved his hand, and the golden battle chi surged into the sky like a tide, condensing into a golden sun. Within a radius of a few hundred meters, it became incomparably bright. Jiang Wei also immediately turned around and scanned the front, his gaze instantly locking onto a mound 100 meters away. That mound was more than 200 feet in size, full of weeds and shrubs. Immediately, Jiang Wei adjusted his position and put down the ancient tree. When the other end of the ancient tree landed on the mound, Dong Jungyang shouted, "Quickly go over, but you must protect the ancient tree, because this is our only way out now." Understood. Shen Mei and the others nodded, jumped onto the ancient tree, and used auxiliary battle arts to speed towards the opposite side. At this time, no one dared to hide anymore. But just as they were about to reach the shore, a group of fierce crocodiles rushed out, and there were more than 10 of them. But their target was not Shen Mei and the others, but the ancient tree under their feet. "You guys go up quickly, I'll cover the rear," Dong Jungyang shouted. Both of his hands stretched out at the same time, and his battle chi burst out, turning into more than 10 strands, like more than 10 arrows, cutting through the sky like lightning, piercing through the glabella of the dozen fierce crocodiles. Roar! Accompanied by a series of wails, more than 10 fierce crocodiles died on the spot, and their huge bodies fell into the swamp. However, 3 of the fierce crocodiles smashed towards the ancient tree. Dong Jungyang quickly, their weight is enough to break the ancient tree. Shen Mei and the others jumped onto the mound, and when they turned around and saw this scene, their expressions changed. More importantly, Dong Jungyang was still running on the ancient tree. Once it broke, he would definitely fall into the swamp. At that time, even if he was a combat master, he would only be eaten by those fierce crocodiles. Because in the swamp, he had no power to resist. Shen Mei and Shen Long wanted to jump up again to prevent this tragedy from happening. But at this time, Morong Xiong shouted, "Don't go, I have a way." Then he bent down and hugged the ancient tree tightly with both hands, shouting, "Dong Jungyang, hold on tight, don't be thrown out." Dong Jungyang was stunned. Ha! But before Dong Jungyang could figure out the situation, Morong Xiong shouted, picked up the ancient tree, and threw it to the side. The moment the ancient tree was moved, the corpses of the 3 fierce crocodiles crashed into the swamp, splashing mud several feet high. Then, they were mercilessly swallowed by the swamp. Gumu was finally saved, but Dong Jungyang was caught off guard, and he was almost thrown out. Fortunately, he reacted in time and quickly jumped down. His 10 fingers were like iron claws, firmly grabbing onto the tree trunk, saving his life. But the danger was not over yet. Dong! Chapter 602. Are you done yet? Dong Jungyang was enraged. Boom! Although he was holding the ancient tree with both hands and couldn't fight back, people at his level had many tricks up their sleeves. A majestic battle chi emerged, and turned into a black torrent that swept across the sky and blasted towards the 5 crocodiles. Dong Jungyang was a 1-star battle ancestor, and the 5 crocodiles were only 9-star combat emperors. Even if he didn't use any battle arts, he could still easily kill them. Roar! 5 whales sounded almost at the same time, and the 5 crocodiles' blood splattered across the sky. Then, Dong Jungyang loosened his hands, got up, and ran wildly on the ancient tree. In a few blinks of an eye, he ran to the other side of the ancient tree, then jumped down and landed in front of Shen Mei and the others, his face full of fear. Morong Xiong immediately erected the ancient tree and carefully protected it with battle qi. Dong Jungyang exhaled, turned to look at Morong Xiong and said, "Thank you for just now. No need to thank me, as long as you don't measure the heart of a gentleman with your own mean measure." Morong Xiong snorted, but he was extremely angry in his heart. Originally, he wanted to take this opportunity to throw Dong Jungyang away. At that time, Dong Jungyang would fall into the swamp and become food for those crocodiles. For this reason, when he threw the ancient tree, he used all his strength. But he didn't expect that Dong Jungyang's reaction would be so fast. He instantly fell down and hugged the ancient tree tightly. Seeing what Morong Xiong was thinking, Dongfang Wuhan secretly said, "Don't worry, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future." Morong Xiong replied. At the same time, hearing Morong Xiong's words, Dong Jungyang was a little angry. He was still called a villain? Compared to some two-faced people, he was much better, right? However, right now, he wasn't in the mood to talk nonsense with Morong Xiong. He glanced at the swamp in front of him and said in a deep voice, "We can't stay here for long. We must hurry through the night." Dongfang Wuhan raised his eyebrows and immediately said, "We can't go any further." "What do you mean?" Dong Jungyang asked. At first, we all thought that there were no ferocious beasts in this swamp, and that it was very safe. However, the truth is the exact opposite. There are too many ferocious beasts here to win. Now, I can't help but suspect that there might be even more ferocious beasts in the depths of the swamp. If we continue to go deeper, we might all be wiped out. Dongfang Wuhan said. Dong Jungyang asked, "Then what do you think we should do?" Dongfang Wuhan said, "Let's get out of the swamp and find a safe route before we go too deep." "What if there is no safe route?" "What I mean is, if we have to pass through this swamp, then going back now is equivalent to wasting time." Dong Jungyang said. Dongfang Wuhan fell silent. Shen Mei and the others also remained silent. In fact, they were more inclined towards Dong Jungyang. They would withdraw from the swamp and continue to look for a safe route. However, they could not ignore Dong Jungyang's concerns. Roar! Suddenly, an exceptionally loud and clear roar rang out. The 6 of them were shocked and looked towards the source of the sound. Immediately, they saw a ferocious crocodile emerge from the swamp more than 200 meters away. This ferocious crocodile was more than 30 meters long, and its huge pupils were filled with an astonishing ferocious light. Its aura was even stronger than the previous crocodiles. And behind it, there were hundreds of ferocious crocodiles. There are still so many. So the crocodiles that appeared before were only a small part of the crocodile group? The 6 of them were about to go crazy. The most important thing was that the aura of the 30-meter-long crocodile was not any weaker than theirs. Without a doubt, it was definitely the Crocodile King, and it had the cultivation of a war master. What should we do? Shen Meihua's face turned pale. Although she had already broken through to the war master, she was still a woman after all. Seeing the ferocious crocodile group, especially in such a desperate situation, she couldn't help but feel a little afraid. And the most important point, these ferocious crocodiles had blocked their path of retreat. If they didn't want to fight with them, then they could only move forward. With our strength, it's not difficult to deal with them. But now, whether it's the right time or the right place, we don't have the slightest advantage. We definitely can't fight them head-on. Dong Jungyang said in a deep voice. Dongfang Wuhan said, "Looks like we can only brace ourselves and continue forward." Morong Xiong, quickly build a bridge. Although he suggested retreating, he still had to look at the situation. And in the current situation, retreating was obviously too risky. Hearing Dongfang Wuhan shout, Morong Xiong immediately looked for the next place to stay. Roar! But at the same time, the Crocodile King roared, and the group of crocodiles behind him immediately became ferocious, rushing towards the 6 of them. Wherever they passed, huge waves would surge, and their momentum was terrifying. Dong Junyang said, "Quickly drag them out and buy time for Morong Xiong." Dongfang Wuhan, Shenmei, Shenlong Jiangwei, including Dong Junyang himself, attacked at the same time. Streaks of resplendent battle chi broke out from their bodies. In this place, waves of destructive aura crazily spread out. Kill! The 5 of them roared angrily. Their battle chi traversed the sky, bringing with it the power to destroy the world as they charged towards the group of crocodiles. Roar! However, the Crocodile King roared, and actually brought the group of crocodiles into the swamp. Boom! The battle chi blasted into the swamp, causing mud to fly all over the sky, but it did not injure a single crocodile. Shenmei said, "These beasts are too cunning. Although they are ferocious beasts, at this level of cultivation, their intelligence will not be lower than ours." Dongfang Wuhan's face was gloomy. Without turning his head, he asked, "Morong Xiong, are you done?" Immediately, Morong Xiong replied. At this moment, he was also sweating profusely. His eyes were firmly locked on a small mound 100 meters in front of him. He held Gumu with both hands and gently put it down. Bang! When the other end of Gumu landed on the mound, Morong Xiong said, "Let's go." The 6 of them turned around without hesitation, stepped onto the bridge, and rushed towards the opposite side. As soon as they reached the shore, the mound they were standing on previously was torn apart with a bang. Obviously, it was done by the Crocodile King. Dong Junyang shouted, "Continue." Morong Xiong did not dare to hesitate. He quickly carried Gumu and began to look for the next landing spot. Next, they passed through more than a dozen mounds in a row. It was a daunting experience without any danger. However, the Crocodile King led the group of crocodiles to follow them. Strange. They have such a good advantage. Why haven't they caught up with us yet? Shenmei suddenly said. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. They had been running for their lives. If not for Shenmei's reminder, they would not have noticed this abnormality. But why was this? The vicious crocodiles were like fish in water in the swamp. Their movements were not hindered at all. Since they were looking for a landing spot and had to build a bridge, their speed was greatly affected. Logically speaking, with their speed, they should have caught up with them long ago. But why were they still behind them? Could it be? Shenlong seemed to have thought of something, and his face changed drastically. Morong Xiong said angrily, "Just say what you have thought of. Don't keep us guessing, okay?" Didn't he know that it was annoying to keep them guessing at this time? I think they're trying to drag it out with us. Once we're exhausted, they'll be able to devour us effortlessly. Shenlong said. The 5 of them trembled. Needless to say, that might be the case. Let me try. Dong Junyang gritted his teeth and took Gumu from Morong Xiong. He turned around and scanned the direction they came from. Finally, his gaze locked onto a mound about a dozen feet in size, more than 50 meters away. Next, he slowly put down Gumu and pretended to retreat. But before he put it down, the king crocodile raised its huge tail and slapped Gumu. Seeing this, Dong Junyang immediately erected Gumu. Hitting nothing, the vicious crocodile did not continue to pursue. It directly retracted its huge tail and lurked in the swamp. Shenlong laughed. Obviously, it won't let us retreat. It also confirms my guess. You can still laugh. Morong Xiong looked at Shenlong and could not help but frown, expressing his dissatisfaction. Why can't I laugh? Shenlong asked. Morong Xiong's brows knitted together. The current situation was so dangerous, but he acted as if nothing had happened. Was this person's brain kicked by a donkey? But at the same time, he could not help but try to figure out why Shenlong was laughing. Dong Junyang and the others were also secretly thinking. Suddenly, Dong Junyang's eyes lit up, and a smile crept onto his face. We can indeed laugh. Morong Xiong said angrily. Can you explain it clearly? Dong Junyang looked at the group of crocodiles and said, even if the environment here is a few times worse, they can't outlast us. Why can't they outlast us? Morong Xiong frowned. The essence chi here was thin, and the battle chi would be exhausted sooner or later. Without battle chi, no matter how high one's cultivation was, it would be in vain. At that time, wouldn't it still be a dead end? Dong Jungyang laughed. Because we have Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang can now refine pills with 4 elixir patterns. As long as we have enough medicinal materials, it doesn't matter if we wait until next year. That's exactly what I was thinking. Shenlong nodded and smiled. Qin Feiyang. Hearing this name, Morong Xiong's eyes flashed with a cold light. He had long wanted to kill Qin Feiyang. Now that he heard that he had to rely on Qin Feiyang to survive, he suddenly found it hard to accept. But it was undeniable that it seemed that he could only rely on this person to survive this calamity. At the same time, Dongfang Wuhan's eyes flickered as he laughed. Then hurry up and let junior brother Qin out. Originally, he was still worried about how to lure Qin Feiyang out of the ancient castle. He didn't expect that success would come so naturally. He didn't even need to think about it. Dong Jungyang glanced at the few of them and said with a faint smile, I see that everyone is in good spirits, so let's not disturb his closed-door cultivation for the time being. Moreover, we already have a lot of pills on us, so let's use them first. All right. Dongfang Wuhan nodded. However, in his heart, he was getting angrier and angrier at Dong Jungyang. This was not the first time that Dong Jungyang had ruined his plans. He secretly swore that he would find an opportunity to kill this person first. The 6 of them continued forward. Time passed day by day. Fortunately, other than the fierce crocodiles, they did not encounter any other fierce beasts, nor did they encounter anyone from the other 8 provinces. Unfortunately, the group of crocodiles followed behind them the entire time, without any intention of giving up. Moreover, there were many fierce crocodiles joining in midway. Among them, there were even 5 War Master level crocodile kings. Including the first one, there were 6 crocodile kings. Their overall strength was not inferior to Dong Jungyang's group of 6. As for the War Emperor level crocodiles, there were even 500 of them. They were eyeing them covetously all day long. They didn't even allow the 6 of them to rest. As long as the 6 of them stopped to recuperate, the group of crocodiles would attack. They didn't attack them, but attacked the footholds under their feet, forcing them to continue forward. Chapter 603. Unknowingly, a month passed. On this day, Dong Jungyang's group of 6 climbed onto a mound with a diameter of about 300 feet. Actually, it could be considered a small island. Motherfucker, when is this going to end? Morong Xiong turned his head to look at the group of crocodiles behind him, and couldn't help but curse loudly. Dong Jungyang and the others were also covered in dirt, and their expressions were very ugly. Although they had pills to replenish their battle chi and stamina, they had been on the road for a month, and they were even forced to do so. Their hearts and minds were undoubtedly suffering. Therefore, they were in a very bad mood right now. In his heart, he had accumulated an endless amount of anger that could explode at any time. Roar! At this moment, the 6 crocodile king-ass in the lead roared in unison, their eyes filled with ferocity. Morong Xiong's veins popped out as he roared. Fuck, you're urging us to leave again. I can't take it anymore. Who will accompany me to kill them? However, no one answered. Shen Long and Jiang Wei were even more concerned with building bridges. What a joke. 6 War Master Realm Crocodile King S. More than 500 War Emperor Realm Fierce Crocodile King S. Plus the fact that they were in the swamp. Running to fight them was simply courting death. You are all kings of the inner palace, but now, all of you are as timid as mice. I truly feel sorry for you. Morong Xiong sneered. Shut up. Do you know what the situation is now? With their current lineup, killing us is as easy as flipping their hands. So now, not only can we not make a move, we also have to pray to the heavens that they will not take the initiative to attack us. Dongfang Wuhan shouted angrily, his face ashen. Morong Xiong raised his eyebrows, but he did not say anything else. To be honest, if he really had to go, he wouldn't dare. The reason why he was so irritable was because he had been holding it in for the past month and wanted to vent his anger. At this moment, Shenlong said, "The bridge is ready, let's go." The group once again embarked on their journey. Dong Jungyang walked at the back and asked, How many battle chi pills do you have left? I'm out. Me too. Shen Mei and Shen Long said one after another. I still have a dozen left. Jiang Wei followed. We don't have much left either. Dongfang Wuhan said. Dong Junyang looked at Dongfang Wuhan and said with a frown. In any case, you are the #1 alchemist in the inner hall. Why didn't you prepare more before setting off? How would I know that the 9 Nether Yellow Springs is so cruel? Besides, I'm no longer qualified to be called the #1 alchemist. Dongfang Wuhan mocked himself. Before Qin Feiyang showed up, he thought that no one in the spiritual state could match his talent in alchemy. But as soon as Qin Feiyang appeared, his brilliance was immediately overshadowed. This was also the main reason why he wanted to kill Qin Feiyang. However, in fact, he still had many battle chi pills on him, but in order to force Qin Feiyang to come out of seclusion, he had concealed them. Of course, Dong Junyang did not know about this. Once they reached the next stop, he would have Shen Mei call Qin Feiyang out of closed-door cultivation. At this point, Shen Mei naturally had no objections. She took out the wrapped clothes from her Qianquan bag and said, Qin Feiyang, quickly come out. Puchi. Before she finished her words, the clothes were torn apart, and Qin Feiyang appeared in front of the 6 people. Why are they here? As soon as he appeared, he sensed the aura of those fierce crocodiles. When he looked in the direction, he saw the group of fierce crocodiles, and his expression suddenly changed. You know them? Dong Junyang and the others were stunned, and then looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Although they had been in contact with these fierce crocodiles for more than a month, they still could not tell what kind of crocodiles they were. These are dragon crocodiles. They are ferocious and cunning. Moreover, they are extremely strong, and their defense is extremely amazing. Few people in the same realm are their opponents. How did you meet them? Why didn't they kill you? Qin Feiyang looked at the 6 people suspiciously. The Qianquan bag could be soundproof, so Qin Feiyang knew nothing about what had happened during this period. It's like this. Shen Mei was about to explain to Qin Feiyang. Roar! But at this moment, the 6 king crocodiles began to roar fiercely again. Bastard, I'll kill you all sooner or later. Murong Xiong said fiercely, and helped Xinlong and Jiang Wei build the bridge. Shen Mei looked at the group of crocodiles, and her eyes were full of anger. She said to Qin Feiyang, Let's talk as we walk. Qin Feiyang nodded and stepped on the bridge with a stomach full of doubts. On the way, Shen Mei told Qin Feiyang in detail what had happened during this period of time. So that's the case. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood, but then he frowned again. What's wrong? Seeing this, Shen Mei asked. As far as I know, dragon crocodiles are very selfish. As long as they encounter prey, they will rush to pounce on it. Now the 6 king crocodiles are chasing you together, which is completely inconsistent with their character. Moreover, with their current lineup, they can easily get rid of us, but they haven't made a move yet. I feel that it's not normal, Qin Feiyang said, thinking. After hearing these words, Dong Junyang and the other 5 looked at each other and couldn't help but feel nervous. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang asked, Have you encountered any other ferocious beasts here? No. Shen Mei shook her head. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, It seems that this matter is not far from the truth. What's the matter? The 6 of them were surprised. Qin Feiyang said, Although dragon crocodiles are selfish, they are very loyal to their king. If I'm not wrong, I'm afraid there are more powerful dragon crocodiles in the depths. What? The 6 of them were shocked. Dong Junyang said, You mean their purpose is not to consume us, but to offer us to their king? When they encountered prey, the 6 king crocodiles didn't fight for it. Instead, they were united. Only this explanation makes sense. Qin Feiyang said. Damn it. The 6 of them looked gloomy. Shen Mei asked, Then what should we do now? Kill. Only by killing them and entering the king crocodile's territory, we have hope to survive. On the other hand, if we don't kill them now, we won't have any chance of winning when they meet up with the king crocodile. And none of us know if there are other king crocodile ahead. It's best if there are none, but if there are, it will be more troublesome. Qin Feiyang's eyes were cold. This matter was not a joke. They must eliminate all the hidden dangers before encountering the king crocodile. However, his suggestion didn't get the approval of Dong Jungyang and the others. I know your concerns. Fighting with them in the swamp. Not only will you not have any advantage, you may even lose your life. But I want to tell you, this is the only way. Qin Feiyang said. I have been tolerating them for a long time. I'll listen to you. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Morong Xiong was the first to nod. Dong Jungyang glanced at Morong Xiong and looked at Qin Feiyang. Are you confident? No. Qin Feiyang shook his head. In such an environment, no matter who it was, they wouldn't dare to say that they had full confidence. Dong Jungyang's heart sank. This was really a difficult choice. Suddenly, Dongfang Wuhan said, in fact, I don't object to fighting with them. But the king crocodile you mentioned is purely a guess. What if there isn't one before? Then wouldn't it be stupid for us to do this now? Indeed. But you have to know, even if there is no king crocodile, they won't let us leave this swamp alive. It's only a matter of time before we fight. Of course, it's not as difficult to deal with them as you think. As long as you are willing to listen to my arrangements, I can minimize the danger. Qin Feiyang said. Really? The 6 of them were refreshed. Qin Feiyang said lightly. If you don't want to live, then I can't do anything. The 6 of them couldn't help laughing. In this world, there was probably no one who wanted to die. Dong Jungyang laughed. You arrange it. Qin Feiyang's face turned solemn and said, Shenlong Shenmei, you are responsible for protecting this piece of wood and the island. At the same time, find a way out. As long as I open my mouth, immediately build a bridge. Whether or not everyone can survive depends on you. Don't panic. The 2 of them nodded. Qin Feiyang then looked at Dong Jungyang, Jiang Wei, Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong and said, You guys are responsible for killing. Don't think about anything else. All right. The 4 of them replied. Qin Feiyang said, When we enter the next foothold, we will make our move. Wait. Dongfang Wuhan frowned and said, You've arranged everything for us. Then what are you going to do? Qin Feiyang said with a smile, What can I do with my little cultivation? Of course, I'm only responsible for commanding. Ugh. The 6 of them were stunned, and then their faces couldn't help but twitch. He clearly had the strength of a war master, but he still pretended to be weak. Wasn't that too hypocritical? 10 breaths later, the 7 of them jumped onto a small island. This small island had a diameter of more than 500 feet. It could be considered the largest island they had encountered along the way. Qin Feiyang glanced at the small island, then turned to look at the group of crocodiles. His eyes suddenly became incomparably sharp, and he said, Begin! As soon as he finished, Shenlong erected the ancient tree, and activated his battle qi to protect the ancient tree and the small island. Then, he and Shenmei searched for the next small island. Shua! At the same time, Dong Jungyang and the other 3 took a step forward and stood at the edge of the small island. They coldly stared at the group of crocodiles, their bodies surrounded by killing intent. As for the 6 crocodile kings, when they saw the 7 of them stop on the small island, they immediately roared angrily. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice, Use your battle arts and kill them with all your might. Moreover, you have to be fast. If you're slow and wait for them to hide under the swamp, then no matter how powerful your killing move is, you won't be able to kill them. The 4 of them nodded, their auras erupted, and with a wave of their hands, their battle chi surged out. God's Devil Seal, Hurricane Slash, Barbarian Bull Strike, Arrow of the Breaking Sun. In half a blink of an eye, the 4 great battle arts were unleashed. A terrifying aura swept across the sky above the swamp. The mud churned and set off monstrous waves. Seeing that, the 6 crocodile kings also revealed a ferocious expression, including the 500+ dragon crocodiles behind them. Roar! Suddenly, one of the crocodile kings roared and quickly dived into the swamp, disappearing without a trace. The other 5 crocodile kings and dragon crocodiles also dived down. As expected, you want to hide below. Qin Feiyang muttered, waved his hand fiercely and said, Kill! Chapter 604. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shattering explosion, a huge crater appeared and mud flew everywhere. At the same time, it was unknown how many dragon crocodiles were killed, and their blood dyed the ground red. How many did you kill? Did you kill the Crocodile King? Dong Jungyang and the others stared nervously at the swamp. Boom! But suddenly, the island beneath their feet began to tremble violently. Damn it! Dong Jungyang's expression changed, and said to Qin Feiyang. They are below again, attacking the foundation of the island. Don't panic. Qin Feiyang appeared to be very calm, as he turned to Shun Mei and Shun Long and nodded. The two of them had already found the next foothold. Upon receiving Qin Feiyang's signal, they immediately put down the ancient tree. Dong! But at the same time as the ancient tree was put down, more than a dozen dragon crocodiles rushed out of the swamp, opened their bloody mouths, revealing terrifying fangs, and pounced towards Qin Feiyang and the others. These dragon crocodiles all had the strength of a 9-star war emperor. Qin Feiyang hurriedly glanced and said, Dongfang Wuhan, Morong Xiong, you guys cover the rear. The rest of you retreat first. We cover the rear? The two of them raised their eyebrows. With so many people, why should they cover the rear? Wasn't this putting them in danger? Although they were dissatisfied, they did not express it. They activated their battle chi and charged towards the dragon crocodiles. Dong Jungyang, Jiang Wei, the Shun siblings and Qin Feiyang did not pay attention to the two of them. They quickly stepped onto the bridge and ran towards the opposite island. Roar! When Qin Feiyang and the others ran to the middle of the bridge, Dongfang Wuhan and Jiang Wei had also killed the dragon crocodiles. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the two of them and said, Hurry up and follow me. After saying that, he followed behind Dong Jungyang and the others, and continued to run towards the opposite side. Roar! But at this time, 3 ferocious crocodiles rushed out from the swamp under the bridge. They opened their wide mouths and bit towards the ancient tree under Qin Feiyang's feet. They also had the strength of a 9-star war emperor. Not good. Dong Jungyang and the others' expressions changed. Qin Feiyang said, Don't look back. I'll handle it. The ultimate. As he spoke, he raised his arm and tapped the air with his index finger. 3 invisible beams of energy shot out and entered the glabella of the 3 alligators. Roar! The 3 alligators immediately screamed. Next, the huge body instantly exploded and turned into a mist of blood. This scene was clearly seen by Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong, who were behind him, and their pupils immediately shrank. One had to know that not long ago, Qin Feiyang had personally said that these draconic crocodiles had astonishing defenses and were rarely a match for them in the same realm. But now, Qin Feiyang only stretched out his index finger and casually pointed, and easily killed 3 dragon crocodiles. This person's battle prowess was indeed not to be underestimated. Most importantly, he had only been in seclusion for a few months, and he had already broken through to the 9-star combat emperor. If this continued, he would probably catch up to them, and even surpass them. At that time, it would be a fool's dream to kill him. Therefore, he had to get rid of this person before he suddenly became a war sect. The two of them looked at each other, and a wisp of killing intent appeared in their eyes, but it was quickly concealed. At this time, Dong Jungyang and the others finally landed on the island. Looking back, they saw that Qin Feiyang had already dealt with the 3 alligators and was unscathed. They couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyang once again took a step forward and ran towards them. Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong didn't dare to stay on the bridge for a moment longer. Roar! However, Qin Feiyang had only run a few meters when 2 30-meter-long dragon crocodiles suddenly jumped out of the swamp. They were 2 crocodile kings. Be careful, Shinmei reminded. Her face couldn't help but turn pale, because the target of the 2 crocodile kings was Qin Feiyang. Don't worry about me, quickly find the next landing spot. Qin Feiyang shouted as he glanced at the 2 crocodile kings. His eyes were rapidly changing. Do you think your lives are too long? He laughed coldly. With a wave of his hand, 2 ribs appeared out of thin air. The surface of the ribs had a hazy luster. Then, he grabbed one in each hand. When the 2 crocodile kings approached, he suddenly attacked and smashed them on their heads. Bang! Ayo! The two crocodile kings suddenly howled, and their huge heads exploded on the spot. Blood splattered everywhere. What? Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong were dumbfounded. Killing two crocodile kings with one blow. What kind of bones were these? They actually had such a terrifying demonic power? But at the same time, Qin Feiyang was also forced back. The blood in his body was surging, and the corner of his mouth was overflowing with blood. But from beginning to end, his feet never left the ancient tree. Seeing this, Morong Xiong's eyes were filled with killing intent as he said, "Now is a good opportunity to kill him." Because Qin Feiyang was retreating towards them with his back facing them. If they made a move now, they would definitely be able to kill Qin Feiyang. Dongfang Wuhan hurriedly said, "You can't make a move here." "Why?" Morong Xiong was puzzled. "Because we are also on the bridge. If we kill Qin Feiyang, Dong Zhenyang, and the others have countless ways to make us fall into the swamp." Dongfang Wuhan said. "Damn it." Morong Xiong clenched his fists. It was such a good opportunity, but they couldn't make a move. It was really annoying. However, they didn't know that although Qin Feiyang had his back to them, he was already prepared to fight back. Moreover, he had arranged for the two of them to stay behind, because he was worried that if he let the two of them go first, they might make trouble and harm him and Dong Zhenyang. But looking at the current situation, the two of them were quite tactful. In the blink of an eye, seeing that Qin Feiyang was about to stabilize his body, at this moment, a sudden change occurred again. The island they were standing on suddenly fell apart, and was quickly swallowed by the swamp. The island sank, and the bridge lost its support point. The ancient tree suddenly sank. Qin Feiyang immediately lost his balance, and fell into the swamp. At the same time, Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong were also not spared. They fell into the swamp and screamed crazily. Qin Feiyang, seeing this situation, Shen Mei and the others suddenly exclaimed. What was worse was that 3 dragon crocodiles emerged from the swamp at this moment, raising their heads and opening their wide mouths, facing Qin Feiyang and the other two. Their huge fierce eyes flashed with excitement, because if this trend continued, Qin Feiyang and the other two would directly fall into their mouths. Of course, they wouldn't refuse the delicious food that was delivered to their door. It's over, there's no hope. Seeing the 3 dragon crocodiles appear, Shen Mei immediately sat on the ground powerlessly and muttered to herself. Dong Zhenyang and the others also had a look of despair and indignation. Let's go. Shen Long gritted his teeth and shouted. Shen Mei said, Leave him alone? What do you want us to do? Shen Long said angrily. It was already hopeless to fall into the swamp, not to mention that there were so many dragon crocodiles in the swamp. To be honest, he also wanted to save Qin Feiyang, because it was Qin Feiyang who allowed him to break through to the War Master. But what could he do? There was no point in staying here. Shen Long is right, we must leave immediately. Dong Zhenyang nodded, bent down, and reached out to grab the ancient tree, forcefully pulling it out of the swamp. The death of the Crocodile King had already angered the crocodile group. If they did not leave now, once Qin Feiyang and the other two died, the crocodile group would definitely come to kill them again. I'm sorry. After pulling out the ancient tree, Dong Zhenyang looked at Qin Feiyang and said softly. Towards Qin Feiyang, he always had a very complicated feeling in his heart. Qin Feiyang was clearly his enemy, but he felt that he was more like his friend. It was very contradictory, even after entering the 9 Nether Yellow Springs. During the period of time he spent with Qin Feiyang, he had almost forgotten about that hatred. But suddenly, as if he had discovered something, his movements paused, and his eyes were filled with bewilderment. What is it? Shen Long asked. Look. Dong Zhenyang pointed to Qin Feiyang. Everyone looked over, and their faces were immediately filled with bewilderment. Shen Mei suddenly stood up, and the despair in her eyes was quickly replaced by hope, because they found that although Qin Feiyang was about to fall into the bloody mouth of the fierce crocodile, he did not panic at all, and was extremely calm. It was as if he was not worried about the current situation at all. He must have a way to escape. Shen Long reached out and clenched his fists, muttering to himself. His eyes were filled with anticipation, and even his body was trembling. Actually, it was not that Qin Feiyang was not afraid, but he did not dare to be afraid. Because once a person was afraid, they would lose their mind, and at that time, only death would await them. On the other hand, if he could remain calm in a critical moment, he might be able to find a glimmer of hope. Like Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong, if no one helped them now, they would definitely die. This was the difference in the state of mind. Although it was said to be slow, the whole process only took a few breaths. There is always a way out. Even if it is a swamp, there should be a way. Qin Feiyang murmured, looking up at the ancient tree above, which was 3 or 4 meters away. If he could fly, there would be no danger at all, and he could directly fly up and catch the ancient tree. But now he could not fly. There was no place for him to stand on, and he could not jump up. What should he do? Suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind. Was there not a ready-made place for him to stand on? Qin Feiyang lowered his head and looked at the fierce crocodile. Judging from the size of its head, it should be a king crocodile. You want to swallow me alive like this? You are too naive. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and turned abruptly in the void, with his head down and feet up. At the same time, he put the rib in his left hand into the chinquan bag, and his right hand firmly grasped the other rib, and his eyes were extremely sharp. In just a moment, he was only half a meter away from the king crocodile's wide mouth. At such a short distance, if it was anyone else, they would definitely be swallowed alive. However, at this moment, the one who was afraid was not Qin Feiyang, but the king crocodile. Looking at Qin Feiyang's sudden turn and his confident face, a strong sense of uneasiness arose in its heart. Roar! All of a sudden, it rushed out of the swamp and bit Qin Feiyang. It wanted to get rid of Qin Feiyang, this unstable factor, as soon as possible in order to prevent anything unexpected from happening. However, it did not know that no matter what it did not matter to Qin Feiyang. In an instant, a man and a beast met. Qin Feiyang held the rib in his hand and smashed it down. Crack! The king crocodile's head was smashed and bleeding on the spot, and it was blasted into the swamp. At the same time, the huge force also sent Qin Feiyang flying. Chapter 605. Seeing this, Dong Jungyang and the others were overjoyed. At the same time, they were stunned by Qin Feiyang's means. In the face of a near-death situation, not only did he escape, but he also killed a king crocodile. This kind of temperament was rarely seen in the world. Shenmei said, Dong Jungyang quickly lift the ancient tree. Qin Feiyang was now holding the ancient tree. As long as the ancient tree was erected, he would be able to completely get out of danger. Save us! But at this time, Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong's cries for help sounded. Originally, they were already in despair, but seeing Qin Feiyang escape, their hearts were also burning with hope. However, Dong Jungyang, turned a deaf ear to their words. He hugged the tree and tried to lift it up, because in his opinion, these two deserved to die. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he said, "Save them." As he spoke, he put away the other rib, then grabbed the ancient tree with both hands, and quickly moved above Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. Dong Jungyang raised his eyebrows. He was very dissatisfied, but he didn't say much. After adjusting his position, he slightly loosened his hands, and the ancient tree immediately fell into the swamp. Almost in the blink of an eye, Qin Feiyang's legs landed in front of Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. Qin Feiyang shouted, "Quickly grab my feet." The two didn't dare to hesitate. They reached out in a panic and grabbed Qin Feiyang's ankle, then held it tightly in their arms, not daring to let go. In the blink of an eye, Dong Jungyang quickly, Qin Feiyang roared. Dong Jungyang immediately lifted the ancient tree, and the three of them quickly rose into the air. Roar! Seeing the delicacies in their mouths slip away, the two dragon crocodiles were furious. They jumped up with all their might, and directly bit the legs of Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. The flesh on their legs was torn, and the pain made them scream again and again. Their faces were pale. At the same time, due to the addition of the two dragon crocodiles, the weight suddenly increased by a few hundred times. Caught off guard, Dong Jungyang lost his grip, and Qin Feiyang, and the other two followed the two dragon crocodiles, falling into the swamp with a bang. However, Qin Feiyang's arms were still wrapped around Gumu, because this was the only thing that could save him. The instant he fell into the swamp, he immediately sensed several tens of frightening ferocious might surging toward him and Dongfang Wuhan. Without a doubt, it must be the other dragon crocodiles. Moreover, the swamp contained a powerful suction force that pulled him down. In the meantime, outside, Shen Mei and the others were also shocked. Shen Long and Jiang Wei flew out almost at the same time, grabbing the ancient tree that was about to sink into the swamp. Shen Long shouted, "Come and help!" Shen Mei immediately stepped forward. Dong Jungyang was a little absent-minded, but when he heard Shen Long's shout, he immediately came back to his senses and rushed to help. "Rise!" The four of them roared and lifted the ancient tree. Qin Feiyang had finally left the swamp. Immediately, he greedily breathed in the air. Although he hadn't been in the swamp for long, there was no air inside, almost suffocating him. Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong were also firmly holding onto his thighs, because they knew that as long as they let go, they would definitely be buried in the swamp. However, the two dragon crocodiles were also biting their legs. And at the same time, more than a dozen dragon crocodiles rushed out of the swamp and pounced toward the three of them. Among them, there were also two crocodile kings. Dong Jungyang shouted, "Quickly break your own legs." Hearing this, Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong didn't dare to hesitate at all. Their battle chi surged and turned into blades, quickly cutting off their legs. The two dragon crocodiles that were biting their legs immediately fell down. Several dragon crocodiles that were following behind them were directly smashed down by them. Accompanied by bursts of angry roars, they fell into the swamp one after another. After getting rid of the two dragon crocodiles, their weight was greatly reduced. Dong Jungyang and the other three quickly erected the ancient tree. The crocodile king that missed its target returned to the swamp and rushed toward the island where Dong Jungyang and the others were. At the same time, Qin Feiyang loosened his hands and quickly slid down the tree trunk. When he landed, Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong also finally let go of Qin Feiyang's thighs. They lay on the ground panting, their faces full of fear. It was really thrilling before, but at least they managed to save their lives. As for the broken legs, as long as they took the regeneration pill, they would soon be repaired. Qin Feiyang landed on the ground and didn't care about the mud on his body. He only wiped the mud on his eyes and looked up at the crocodile group. At the same time, without waiting for orders, Shen Mei and Shen Long began to look for the next foothold. However, at the same time, the island under their feet trembled violently again. Obviously, there were fierce crocodiles bombarding the foundation of the island from below. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "If we want them to stop, we can only kill all the crocodile kings. It's very difficult." Dong Jungyang said, "At present, 3 crocodile kings have been killed by Qin Feiyang, and there were only 3 left. But now, only 1 crocodile king was above the swamp, and the other 2 were missing. There was no doubt that they must be hiding below," Jiang Wei said. "Do you think it's possible that the other 2 crocodile kings have been killed by our first wave of attacks?" "We can't rule out this possibility," Qin Feiyang said. After all, at that time, Dong Jungyang, Jiang Wei, Murong Xiong, and Dongfang Wuhan joined forces to attack, and all of them were battle arts. The lethality could be imagined, but they couldn't rely on luck. What if they weren't killed? So they had to consider it in advance. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a cold light, and he said coldly, "Go all out and kill another wave." "Okay." Dong Jungyang and Jiang Wei nodded, and immediately began to practice their battle arts. Qin Feiyang also took out 2 regeneration pills and 2 healing pills, and threw them to Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. Each of the 4 pills had 4 Dan veins. These pills were refined when he was in closed-door cultivation for the past few months, in case he needed them. "Thank you." The 2 of them looked at Qin Feiyang gratefully. Ignoring the mud on their hands, they grabbed the pills and stuffed them into their mouths. However, the hatred they had for Qin Feiyang in their hearts grew stronger and stronger. Although Qin Feiyang had saved their lives and given them pills in their eyes, all of this was caused by Qin Feiyang. If it weren't for Qin Feiyang letting them cover the rear, how could they have fallen to this point? But they had concealed all of this very well. At this time, Shen Mei said, "The bridge is set up." Qin Feiyang pointed to Dongfang Wuhan and said, "Shen Long, take them and retreat first." "All right." Shen Long nodded, carrying one person in each hand. He jumped on the beam and rushed towards the opposite side. Shen Mei followed closely behind. Next, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and shouted, "Kill!" Dong Jungyang and Jiang Wei had long been ready. As soon as they heard Qin Feiyang's order, the demonic god and hurricane slash cut through the sky, carrying astonishing power and whistling away. Then the three of them didn't look at the result. They stepped onto the bridge and rushed towards the opposite side without looking back. Boom! The two great battle arts blasted into the swamp. The Crocodile King saw that the situation was not good and sank into the swamp first. No one knew if it was injured or not, but more than half of the crocodiles were dead. The rest of them were also sent flying. Finally, they managed to buy some time to escape. However, Qin Feiyang and the other two had just run to the middle section when the island from before was torn apart with a bang. Gumu suddenly fell into the swamp. The three of them almost fell down, but fortunately, their reactions were very timely. They quickly lay down and hugged Gumu. When the swaying of Gumu calmed down slightly, they got up and ran over. However, they had just landed in front of Shen Mei and the others when the ground under their feet trembled again. And it was more intense than before. No more crocodiles floated out of the swamp. It seems that they don't intend to fight us head-on. If they continue to hide below and attack our foothold, I'm afraid that we will be doomed sooner or later. Everyone's face was gloomy and full of worry. Morong Xiong sat on the ground and glanced at Qin Feiyang, saying, "We shouldn't have provoked them." Dong Jingyang said angrily, "What's the point of saying this now? Moreover, if Qin Feiyang's guess is true, if we don't get rid of the 6 crocodiles now, we will have no way to survive." Morong Xiong roared, "You are gambling, and you are betting your lives on Qin Feiyang." "Yes, we are gambling. And no matter what the result is, I will support Qin Feiyang unconditionally, because he will not abandon us and live alone." Jiang Wei nodded without hesitation and mocked Morong Xiong ruthlessly. Morong Xiong immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation, but he could only hold it in. While the two were talking, Shen Mei had already built the bridge. She looked coldly at Morong Xiong and said, "Don't talk so much nonsense, let's go." The group stepped onto the bridge and quickly evacuated. Next, sure enough, as everyone expected, the crocodiles only attacked their foothold and did not confront them head-on. Left with no other choice, they could only be forced to continuously flee. Fortunately, Qin Feiyang had a lot of medicinal pills on him, and everyone had been in peak condition. About half an hour later, Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong's lost legs were finally repaired, and they no longer needed everyone's help. Qin Feiyang looked at the two and said, "You two continue to cover the rear." The two almost vomited blood in anger. "Why? Are you deliberately looking for trouble? What? Do you have a problem? Don't forget, we agreed in advance that we must listen to Qin Feiyang's arrangements." Dong Jingyang glanced at the two. Morong Xiong clenched his fingers and growled. "Which ear of yours heard me say that I don't want to?" Dong Jingyang said indifferently. "Although you didn't say it, I can tell from your expression. You should be a detective." Morong Xiong sneered. Dong Jingyang snorted and said, "If you don't want to leave the death swamp alive, I won't force you. Don't scare me, I'm not scared. I'm also telling you, you will definitely die in front of me." Morong Xiong smiled coldly, and a trace of killing intent appeared in the depths of his eyes. Morong Xiong, stop arguing. We have seen Junior Brother Qin's performance along the way. It's right to listen to him. Dongfang Wuhan laughed. "I didn't say much. Why are you always targeting me? Do you think I'm easy to bully?" Morong Xiong snorted coldly. All right. After being chased by the dragon crocodiles for so long, you're not the only one in a bad mood. We're not in a good mood either. You should talk less. Harmony is the most important thing. Let's go." Dongfang Wuhan patted his shoulder and comforted him. Then the two quickly retreated to the rear. Shen Mei and Shen Long were still leading the way. Chapter 606. Although the group of crocodiles had basically hidden themselves, they still killed a lot of them on the way. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed. On this day, Dong Junyang looked at Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong, and finally couldn't help but send a sound transmission to Qin Feiyang. I'm really puzzled. Why do you still want to save them? They have their value. For example, now, without their help, our situation would be even more difficult. Qin Feiyang whispered. Is that all? Dong Junyang frowned. Qin Feiyang said. Of course not, they have schemed against us time and time again. I naturally can't let them die too easily. I see. Dong Junyang suddenly realized. In that case, it must have been Qin Feiyang's intention to let the two of them cover the retreat. He glanced at Qin Feiyang and secretly said, Your thoughts are really hard to fathom. Of course not. As long as it's my friend, I will pour my heart out. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Dong Junyang's heart trembled. The meaning of these words was already very obvious. To his friends he could pour his heart out, but to his enemies he could also be merciless. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's footsteps paused as he scanned the swamp, his expression obviously a little heavy. What's wrong? Dong Junyang, who was behind him, also immediately stopped and looked around vigilantly. So did Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. Quickly go ashore. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang roared. Everyone was startled, but they didn't ask much and quickly ran towards the opposite island. That island was about 100 feet long, which was also very big, with verdant weeds and shrubs everywhere. Whoosh! In less than 3 breaths, the 7 of them had landed on the island. What's going on? Dongfang Wuhan looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, I have a bad premonition. Shenlong, quickly put away the ancient tree. Shenlong nodded. He bent down and grabbed the ancient tree firmly. Then he lifted it up with both hands. After that, he ran to the center of the island with the ancient tree in his arms, and stuck it into the ground, protecting it with his battle chi barrier. Premonition. However, hearing Qin Feiyang's words, Dongfang Wuhan didn't care. Premonitions were too vague. How could they be trusted? What he didn't know was that Qin Feiyang's premonitions were rarely wrong, even though they weren't 100% accurate. However, Dongfang Wuhan didn't mention it, because he knew that even if he brought it up, no one would pay attention to him. The few of them stood back to back, staring at the swamp. But as time passed, nothing out of the ordinary happened. Dongfang Wuhan faintly smiled and said, Junior brother Qin, although I believe in your words, I still have to say that premonitions are sometimes unreliable. He spoke very tactfully so as not to offend anyone, but the sarcasm in his words could be heard by anyone who wasn't an idiot. Dong! But before he could finish his sentence, the swamp on the left suddenly exploded, and mud splattered everywhere. A 30-meter-long crocodile rushed out of the swamp and entered their line of sight. Dong Junyang's eyes focused and said in a deep voice, It's that crocodile king. Why did it come out? Everyone was bewildered. But this was only the beginning. Dong! Another 2 30-meter-long dragon crocodiles appeared. Damn it! Shenlong cursed. Because these were the 2 crocodile kings that they had been wondering if they had died under their first wave of attacks. However, Murong Xiong sneered and said, I was just worried that I couldn't find a way to lure them out. This time, I'll catch them all in one fell swoop. But just as he finished speaking, more dragon crocodiles appeared one after another, floating in the mud. Their huge eyes stared at the few of them, all of them filled with a terrifying ferocious light. However, these dragon crocodiles were only at the War Emperor level. Murong Xiong shouted, Do it! Wait! Qin Feiyang reached out to stop him. Murong Xiong frowned. Wasn't it your idea to kill them all? Why are you stopping me now? Qin Feiyang immediately raised his eyebrows and said, I really don't want to scold you, but why don't you know what's good for you? You, Murong Xiong was furious. Dong Junyang shouted, Be quiet, let him finish. Murong Xiong stared at the 2 of them, clenching his fists tightly. He was about to go crazy with hatred, but in the end, he calmed down and looked at Qin Feiyang. All right, you say it. At the same time, he sneered in his heart. Let's see what kind of logic you can come up with. Qin Feiyang glanced at him, looked at the crocodiles and said, In these 5 days, there have been very few crocodiles that have taken the initiative to appear. But now, not only have the 3 crocodile kings appeared together, the other dragon crocodiles have also appeared. No matter how I look at it, I feel strange. Hearing him say this, Dong Jungyang and the others could not help but be surprised. Even Morong Xiong fell into deep thought. Suddenly, Xinmei said, "Could it be that they want to fight to the death with us here?" Dong Jungyang thought for a moment and shook his head. It's not possible. If they really want to fight to the death, they would have already launched an attack. Qin Feiyang nodded, agreeing with Dong Jungyang's point of view. Look, doesn't that look like an island? At this time, Jiang Wei exclaimed, "Island?" Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned, then turned their heads and looked in the direction Jiang Wei pointed. Suddenly, their eyes were filled with surprise. In front of them, about 1,000 meters away, there was a vague outline, sitting in the blood fog. The outline was very large, should be more than 1,000 feet, and at first glance, it really looked like an island. But whether it was an island or not, it was still uncertain. Shenlong shook his head and sighed. If only there was no blood fog. With their cultivation, if there was no blood fog blocking their vision, 1,000 meters was nothing at all. At this time, the mutation happened again. In the swamps on the right and the back, there were roars again. The few of them took a quick glance and turned pale with fright. In the swamps on both sides, dragon crocodiles appeared one after another. Moreover, there were 10 dragon crocodiles that were more than 30 meters long. There were even more dragon crocodiles that were less than 30 meters. In other words, there were 9 War Master Realm crocodile kings here. Adding the 3 crocodile kings from before, there were 13 of them. Every crocodile king was emitting an extremely terrifying might. But he didn't move. He just watched Qin Feiyang and the others from afar. Could it be that we've entered the dragon crocodile's lair? Shin Meihua's face turned pale, and her voice trembled. There's no more suspense. This is definitely the dragon crocodile's lair. Perhaps the crocodile emperor that Qin Feiyang mentioned really exists. Dong Jungyang said in a deep voice. At the same time, he glanced at Dongfang Wuhan and the other 2, and a trace of ridicule could be seen in his eyes. If he hadn't listened to Qin Feiyang's suggestion 5 days ago, and killed the 3 crocodile kings ahead of time, as well as a large number of vicious crocodiles, it would have been even more troublesome. This was leadership. Compared to Dongfang Wuhan, Qin Feiyang was much more powerful. If Dongfang Wuhan continued to lead everyone, in the end, no one in the spiritual state would be able to walk out of the 9 nether yellow springs alive. As soon as Dong Jungyang said this, the place fell into a dead silence. Dongfang Wuhan and the other 2 also noticed Dong Jungyang's gaze. They were a little angry from embarrassment, but they endured it. Look, why aren't there any dragon crocodiles in front? Jiang Wei's exclamation sounded again. No. Everyone was stunned. When they turned their heads to look again, their faces were filled with ecstasy. In front of them, there were indeed no vicious crocodiles blocking the way. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and looked up at the blurry outline. There were dragon crocodiles blocking the way in the other 3 directions, but there were none in front of them. Was there some kind of mystery hidden within? But they couldn't care less now. They had to move forward, because in the face of 13 crocodile kings and countless War Emperor Realm crocodiles, even if they used all their skills, they had no chance of winning. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang said without hesitation, Shenlong, build the bridge. What? Morong Xiong's expression froze, and he said in shock and anger, Do you know that you are sending everyone to their deaths by doing this? Qin Feiyang said, If we stay here, we will still die. When Shenlong heard Qin Feiyang's words, he did not have any doubts. He immediately looked ahead and quickly found a suitable place to settle down. In front of him, 80 meters away, there was a mound of earth that was several zhang tall. Next, Shenlong steadily put down the ancient tree, and after building the bridge, he sneered without turning his head. Some people are worried. Then I will go and scout the way first. Finished. Without hesitation, he jumped onto the bridge and rushed towards the mound of earth on the other side. Qin Feiyang's gaze followed Shenlong the entire time. Although he insisted on everyone moving forward, he was not sure if there were any other vicious crocodiles lurking in the swamp under the bridge. If there were, he would have harmed everyone. In the end, Shenlong successfully climbed onto the mound of earth, and not a single vicious crocodile jumped out. Behind him, as well as the vicious crocodiles on both sides, did not block the way. "It's safe, let's go." Seeing this, Dong Jungyang and the others were overjoyed. They jumped onto the bridge one after another, and rushed towards the other side, as if they were running for their lives. But before Qin Feiyang jumped onto the bridge, he glanced at the vicious crocodiles in 3 directions, and there was a trace of doubt in his eyes. What were these dragon crocodiles planning? Could it be, as he guessed, that they wanted to sacrifice them to the Crocodile Emperor? Where was the Crocodile Emperor hiding now? Boom! When all of them had climbed onto the mound of earth, the 13 crocodile kings suddenly attacked and destroyed the previous foothold. Next, they surrounded Qin Feiyang and the others again. Qin Feiyang frowned and whispered, "They are forcing us to move forward. The Crocodile Emperor may be somewhere in front. What should we do?" Morong Xiong asked in a panic. "Do we have a choice?" Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and nodded to Shenlong. Shenlong also smiled bitterly and shook his head, and continued to build bridges. After passing through several mounds of earth in a row, they finally saw the vague outline. It was indeed a huge island, with rolling mountains and towering ancient trees, like a peerless beast lurking in the swamp. After a while, they came to the last mound of earth. They were only 50 or 60 meters away from the island. The 13 crocodile kings still did not attack them, but led the group of crocodiles to cut off all their escape routes. Jiang Wei frowned and said, "Do you think they want us to enter this island?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, then lowered his head and fell into deep thought. Seeing this, Dong Jungyang and the others were silent, afraid to disrupt Qin Feiyang's train of thought. After a few breaths. Chapter 607. What's wrong? Shenmei asked. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed deeply and shook his head. Actually, I should have thought of it. Shenmei and the others looked at each other. Shenlong said, "My dear brother, don't be so surprised, okay? Just say it clearly." Qin Feiyang looked at them and said in a deep voice, "I think the Crocodile Emperor should be on that island." What? Everyone turned pale with fright. According to historical records, crocodiles can not only live in swamps, but also in water and on land. But compared to swamps and water, they prefer to live on moist land. And in this swamp, the other mounds and islands are too small for them to live. Only that island is suitable. If I'm not wrong, that island should be their nest. Qin Feiyang said. Hearing this, they looked up at the island and couldn't help but turn pale. Shenmei asked, "What should we do now?" After pondering for a while, Dong Jungyang shook his head and said, "There are crocodiles behind and on both sides. It's definitely unrealistic to go around the island. We can only go up." Go up? Dongfang Wuhan frowned and said, "We don't know the strength of the Crocodile Emperor. If we go up like this, I'm afraid." At this time, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He collected his thoughts and thought carefully. He said, "Actually, I think going up is a good thing for us." Good thing? They looked at him in confusion. The Crocodile Emperor was on the island. Was this a good thing? If it were any other time, my words would be a bit stupid. But it's different now. We can't go up and down. We can't even fight with them. But as long as we go up to the island, we can do whatever we want. Although we will face unknown risks, at least we don't have to worry about falling into the swamp. Qin Feiyang said. Shenmei looked at him strangely and said, "After hearing what you said, why do I suddenly feel that the island is not a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, but a paradise?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "For our current situation, it is indeed a paradise." Paradise? Morong Xiong sneered. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, "If you have something to say, just say it. Don't keep it to yourself. You're the one who asked me to say this. Don't blame me for being too harsh later. The so-called heaven is just a high-sounding excuse you found for your mistake." Morong Xiong sneered. Mistake? Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed in spite of himself. He said, "I've never thought that I've done very well. But I've also never made any major mistakes in my decisions. If you think that you've done better than me, I won't object to you leading everyone. I object, Dong Jingyang said. I'm against it too. Shen Mei, Shen Long, and Jiang Wei expressed their opinions one after another. What a joke! If they let this treacherous villain lead them, sooner or later, they would be led to a dead end. Dongfang Wuhan glanced at Dong Jingyang and the others and said with a faint smile, I also object. It's better for junior brother Qin to continue leading everyone. Morong Xiong frowned and looked at Dongfang Wuhan with dissatisfaction. Dongfang Wuhan said, You can fight and kill, but in terms of leadership, you're really not that good. Don't go and humiliate yourself. Even Dongfang Wuhan looked down on him. Morong Xiong was about to go crazy, but no one paid attention to him. Dongfang Wuhan smiled and said, Junior brother Qin, Morong Xiong is just complaining. Don't mind him too much. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, If I minded, I wouldn't have stood here and listened to him. Junior brother Qin is really a magnanimous person. All right, let's do as junior brother Qin says. We'll go to that island, but we can't be careless. Dongfang Wuhan said. Qin Feiyang nodded and turned to look at Shen Long. Shen Long understood and slowly put down the ancient tree. Let's go. When the other end landed on the shore of the opposite island, Shen Long waved his hand and took the lead to step onto the bridge and rushed towards the island. Dong Jingyang and the others followed one after another. This time, Qin Feiyang did not make things difficult for Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong. He let the two of them go up first while he stayed behind. However, this action was somewhat superfluous. The 13 crocodile kings did not run to intercept and kill them. They quietly waited for them to head to the island. Boom! However, when Qin Feiyang and the others stepped onto the island, they swarmed forward and instantly destroyed their previous foothold. The ancient tree also sank into the swamp. The few of them didn't care, because there were countless towering ancient trees on this island, so there was no need to worry about it. Moreover, they weren't in the mood to care about this right now. The few of them paid attention to the movements of the crocodile group while scanning the jungle behind them. They were all prepared for battle. However, the crocodile group did not chase them ashore. The crocodile emperor did not appear either. However, the 13 crocodile kings each brought a group of war emperor realm dragon crocodiles and quickly dispersed, rushing in different directions. What are they trying to do? The few of them looked at the crocodile group in surprise. But soon they had an answer in their hearts. Boom! Under the lead of the 13 crocodile kings, the group of crocodiles crazily destroyed the small islands around the island. They didn't even let go of a few dozen feet of dirt. Obviously, they wanted to completely cut off Qin Feiyang and the others' escape route and trap them on the island. Morong Xiong shouted, Quickly go to the other side, we might still be able to make it. If the island and dirt on the other side were also destroyed, then they would really be trapped here for the rest of their lives. No one objected to this suggestion. Whoosh! Immediately, the 7 of them unleashed their maximum speed and shuttled through the jungle, rushing towards the other side of the island. In the jungle, the vegetation was very dense. A few large trees could not be surrounded even if they held hands. Vines as thick as an arm and as thick as a thigh were everywhere. They were like horned dragons wrapped around the trees. On the ground, there was also a thick pile of dead branches and rotten leaves. The air was filled with a rotten smell, and it was very humid. While the few of them were moving as fast as lightning, they did not forget to pay attention to their surroundings. Stop! After about 20 breaths, Qin Feiyang suddenly shouted. Immediately, everyone stopped in unison and looked at Qin Feiyang in bewilderment. Qin Feiyang glanced at the jungle in all directions and said in a deep voice, There is a fishy smell. Fishy smell? The few of them were shocked and immediately looked around. There! Suddenly, Shen Mei's eyes trembled and pointed to a big tree more than 30 meters ahead. That big tree was as thick as a dustpan and had luxuriant branches and leaves. The trunks and branches of the big tree were entwined with strong vines. But one of the vines was not a vine, but a giant python. The giant python was 3 feet long and as thick as a thigh. The color of its skin was similar to the color of its skin. At first glance, it was difficult to distinguish it. At this moment, it was hanging on a branch, and its huge eyes were firmly staring at Qin Feiyang and the others. Seeing the giant python, Qin Feiyang and the others could not help but feel their scalps tingle. If they did not discover it in advance, they would pass directly under the giant python, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Qin Feiyang said, "Don't entangle with it." The few of them immediately turned around and prepared to go around the giant python. But as soon as they turned around, there was a burst of terrifying hissing sounds around them. At the same time, many vines in the surroundings began to twist and turn. Qin Feiyang and the others looked and were shocked. It turned out that most of the vines here were transformed by the giant python. Morong Xiong roared in exasperation. "We just got rid of the fierce crocodile, and now we are in a snake's nest. Why are we so unlucky?" Qin Feiyang shouted, "Shut up. Instead of complaining here, it's better to break out of the encirclement. Let's go." After saying that, he took the lead and rushed forward. Dong Junyang and the others also gathered together and quickly followed. Hiss! As soon as they moved, the giant pythons around them also swayed their long bodies and surrounded them. "You're courting death." Qin Feiyang's eyes were cold. He pointed his index finger in the air, and an invisible force roared out and blasted at the group of snakes in front of him. In an instant, a large number of snakes were killed. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up and said loudly, "Their strength is not strong. Don't fight. Just kill your way out of the encirclement." Understood. Dong Junyang and the others nodded. At that moment, a chaotic bloody battle unfolded. Qin Feiyang opened the way in front. Morong Xiong and Dongfang Wuhan brought up the rear. Shenmei, Dong Junyang, Shenlong, and Jiang Wei were on the left and right sides. The 7 of them twisted into a rope and used their own methods to rush forward. Wherever they passed, corpses and blood were left all over the ground. The pungent smell of blood quickly spread out from all directions. Soon, the few of them galloped hundreds of meters. Suddenly, an ear-piercing sound came from the front. Dong Junyang did not even think about it. He raised his hand and blasted out a battle chi. Boom! But in the end, accompanied by a loud sound, Dong Junyang was actually forced back, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. What? The sudden turn of events caused Qin Feiyang and the others to turn pale with fright. They all looked forward and immediately saw a transparent liquid on the ground more than 10 meters in front of them. That liquid was nibbling away at the dead branches and rotten leaves on the ground, emitting black smoke. Moreover, the speed of the nibbling was extremely fast. In the end, even the soil was rotting. Venom. Their minds trembled. This liquid was obviously venom, and its toxicity was extremely terrifying. And the thing that collided with Dong Junyang's battle chi was definitely this venom. But this venom was not something they were afraid of. What really scared them was the giant python that spat out this venom. One had to know. Dong Junyang was a 1-star battle sect, and just a stream of venom was enough to force him back. One could imagine his strength. Rumble. Crack. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, as if a huge earthquake had occurred. At the same time, the ancient trees in front of them fell down in batches, and leaves swirled in the air. It was as if something was rushing towards them. And the strange thing was that as soon as this movement appeared, the giant pythons around them dispersed and retreated more than 10 meters away, surrounding them. And the giant pythons blocking in front of them retreated to both sides, opening up a wide path. What's going on? Shenmei was surprised. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "I think there should be an even stronger beast rushing over. Maybe it's the giant python that spat out that venom." Chapter 608. Finished. Dong Junyang took a step forward and took the initiative to rush forward. The giant pythons on both sides did not stop him. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang frowned and whispered, "Quickly follow him." Whoosh! Immediately, the 6 of them moved at full speed and chased after Dong Junyang. The surrounding giant pythons still did not stop them. Not only did they not stop them, but when Qin Feiyang and the others disappeared, All the giant pythons dispersed and hid in the forest. Crack. About 10 breaths passed. A huge head, crushing a large ancient tree, entered the sight of Qin Feiyang and the others. Immediately, they stopped in unison and looked at the head with an extremely solemn expression. It was the head of a giant python, but compared to the previous giant pythons, it was several times larger. It was like a small mountain in the sky, and its huge eyes were suffused with a cold and bone-chilling light. "You dare to slaughter my people, I will swallow you all alive." A deafening voice sounded in the heads of Qin Feiyang and the others. Following closely, the giant python's head swooped down. At the same time, it opened its bloody mouth, revealing sharp fangs. A glaring fishy smell rushed out of the wide mouth. Shen Mei could not help but vomit on the spot. "You!" Dong Xingyang smiled coldly, placed his hands in front of his chest and quickly formed a seal. A black palm print appeared. "Black Devil Seal kill!" Following his low roar, the black square seal rushed into the sky, carrying the power to destroy the world, and blasted towards the head. "An ant-like person dares to make a move in front of me? You're courting death." A trace of contempt appeared in the giant python's eyes. Clang! Suddenly, a snake scale fell off from between its eyebrows. This snake scale was as big as a millstone. It was as black as ink, like a blade flickering with black light, and fiercely collided with the black square seal. Puff! Dong Xingyang spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. At the same time, the black square seal was also crushed by the snake scale, and it was effortless. So strong! Everyone was shocked. Dong Xingyang was also somewhat absent-minded, but his eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light as he roared. "I don't believe that I can't deal with a beast like you." This was because the aura of this giant python was only that of a one-star battle ancestor. Furthermore, the Black Devil Seal was a high-grade battle art. In addition, Dong Xingyang himself was a one-star battle ancestor. In the end, he was still no match for the giant python. This was unacceptable to him. He formed a seal with both hands. A square seal appeared again. However, the aura emitted by this square seal was even stronger than the Black Devil Seal from before. "Heavenly Demon Seal, be destroyed!" Dong Xingyang raised his head and roared. The square seal shot up to the sky and slammed into the snake scale. Although the Heavenly Demon Seal and the Black Devil Seal were both high-grade battle arts, there was still a difference in their strengths. The Sky Demon Seal was undoubtedly stronger than the Black Demon Seal. Rumble! Another deafening explosion rang out. The Heavenly Demon Seal did not disappoint Dong Xingyang's high hopes. It did not shatter, and was in a stalemate with the snake scale in midair. The collision produced dazzling sparks and waves of air surged, sweeping in all directions. "With just this little ability, you dare to be arrogant?" Dong Xingyang sneered. "Human, you are very stupid. Can't you see that this emperor is playing with you?" The giant python's mocking laughter sounded in Dong Xingyang's mind. Dong Xingyang immediately sneered. "You don't believe me?" A trace of ridicule crawled up the giant python's eyes. Boom! All of a sudden, its aura crazily soared to the level of a 2-star battle ancestor. Damn it! Dong Xingyang was both shocked and furious. He did not expect that the giant python had hidden its cultivation before. Crack! At the same time, the snake scale shone with a black light, and its power also soared by a level. The Heavenly Demon Seal was directly shattered. Following that, the snake scale slashed towards the few of them. Qin Feiyang took a step back and shouted, "All of you quickly attack together. It's useless to hide when you have something to do." Morong Xiong coldly snorted and stepped forward with Dongfang Wuhan and the others. They evolved their strongest battle arts and crazily attacked the snake scale. In that instant, a few great battle arts collided with the snake scale, releasing a dazzling radiance. At this moment, even heaven and earth lost their color. Clang! Crack! The snake scale was finally blasted away and shattered. However, it did not shatter, only cracks appeared on it. The giant python was also forced back a few meters. However, Morong Xiong and the others, including Dong Xingyang, were all trembling violently. Blood gushed out from the corners of their mouths, and the ground beneath their feet cracked inch by inch. Even if it's a 2-star war master, it's impossible for it to be so strong. The 6 of them were in extreme disbelief. They had to be clear. Although their cultivation was lower than the giant python by a small realm, they had the amplification of battle arts. Superior battle arts were enough for them to compete with 4-star war masters. But now, the 6 of them had joined forces and used their strongest battle arts. Yet they were only tied with the giant python. Wasn't this ridiculous? Qin Feiyong suddenly said, "That snake's scale." But he only said half of it before falling silent again. What's wrong with that snake scale? If you have something to say it quickly. Dong Junyang and the others urged. Qin Feiyong said, "It's different from the giant pythons we encountered before. Those were just ordinary giant pythons. But this giant python is a rare mutated creature, black dragon snake." Black dragon snake? The 6 of them frowned. Why had they never heard of it before? Qin Feiyong said, "You haven't seen its tail yet, and its tail is almost the same as a dragon's tail. At the same time, it also has another thing that a dragon has." Shenmei asked, "What is it?" Qin Feiyong said, "Dragon scale." Shenlong said in shock, "You mean that snake scale just now is a dragon scale?" "That's right. But it can't be called a real dragon scale. After all, the black dragon snake is not a real dragon, and its power can't be compared to a real dragon scale. But even so, its dragon scale is still very terrifying. Not only is it hard, it's also very sharp, and its power is comparable to a high-grade battle art. With its cultivation, even if the few of you join forces, you won't be able to break it." Qin Feiyong said. "Haha, what a joke. Didn't you see? We've already shattered it just now. As long as we hit it again, it'll definitely shatter." Morong Xiong laughed. Qin Feiyong sneered. "Is that so? Take a look again." Morong Xiong raised his head and was immediately stunned. Seeing this, Dong Junyang and the others also raised their heads and looked over. Their expressions were also stunned on the spot, and they kept muttering, "How is this possible?" The originally shattered dragon scale was now completely undamaged, and it was emitting a dazzling dark light. Qin Feiyong looked at Morong Xiong and said, "I forgot to tell you, its recovery ability is very fast." Morong Xiong's rough face suddenly turned green and white. It was very interesting. Don't call out if you don't understand in the future. Dong Junyang coldly glanced at Morong Xiong, then looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, "Then how can we get rid of it?" "To get rid of the black dragon snake, we still have to get rid of the dragon scale first. Because although the dragon scale is strong, it's also its fatal point. As long as the dragon scale is broken, its strength will be greatly reduced, at least by a small realm. But this is temporary. When the dragon scale regenerates, its strength will be restored." Qin Feiyong said. "Really?" Several people's eyes lit up. Qin Feiyong said, "I don't know if it's true or not, but this information is recorded in the ancient books, so it shouldn't be wrong." Talking for so long is equivalent to not saying anything. Morong Xiong muttered secretly. Dong Junyang thought for a while and said, "Whether it's true or not, we have to try. Let's do it." The 6 people performed their battle arts again. The black dragon snake didn't make a move during this time, and it turned a blind eye to Dong Junyang's group. Its eyes were firmly fixed on Qin Feiyong. "Human, you know a lot." While Dong Junyang's group was performing their battle arts, the black dragon snake's voice sounded in Qin Feiyong's mind. Qin Feiyong met the black dragon snake's fierce eyes and smiled faintly, without a trace of worry. Although the black dragon snake was very scary, he had a way to deal with it. "Kill!" Dong Junyang's group of 6 quickly performed their battle arts and attacked again. "You're overestimating yourselves. If I were you, I would give up resisting." The black dragon snake disdained, and the dragon scale suddenly fell and collided with the 6 battle arts. The previous situation happened again. Dong Junyang's group of 6 spat out blood. The dragon scale was also broken, but in the blink of an eye, it was restored to its original state. Boom! Following that, a pitch-black giant tail rushed out from the forest behind the black dragon snake and smashed towards Qin Feiyong's group. The giant tail was as thick as a bucket and covered with scales. At the head of the tail, there were strands of black hair. "It's really a dragon tail," Dong Junyan's group trembled as they turned to look at Qin Feiyang for help. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 6 people, raised his head to look at the black dragon snake, and said with a smile, "Follow me, I won't kill you." What? Dong Junyan's group of 6 was stunned. They never thought that Qin Feiyang would actually say such a thing. The black dragon snake was also extremely shocked. Its giant tail stopped in midair, and it forgot to kill them. "What did you say? Say it again." After a while, the black dragon snake reacted and looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Follow me," Qin Feiyang said. His tone was calm, and there was still a trace of a smile on his face. Subduing the black dragon snake was not a spur-of-the-moment thing. It was because he suddenly remembered that according to the ancient records, as the strength of the black dragon snake increased, there was a possibility that it would become a real dragon in the future. And the probability was even greater than that of a flood dragon. Just imagine, if the black dragon snake really became a divine dragon, it would be equivalent to having a dragon as a mount. At that time, how domineering and awe-inspiring would it be? Just thinking about it made him excited. However, the black dragon snake was completely enraged. Its loud voice exploded in Qin Feiyang's mind. "Brat, you're courting death," Qin Feiyang said indifferently. "If you don't submit to me, the only one who will die will be you." Shameless boasting. This emperor wants to see what kind of storm you can stir up? The black dragon snake's anger burned the sky, and its giant tail suddenly fell down. "Go!" Shenmei shouted, turned around and rushed to Qin Feiyang, grabbed Qin Feiyang, and fled without looking back. At the same time, Dong Junyang and the others were also like birds startled by the twang of a bow, fleeing in all directions. The giant tail slammed on the ground, and the earth trembled crazily. This place was instantly fragmented, and a chasm spread, and it smashed a huge deep pit. Die! After missing its attack, the black dragon snake became even more irritable. Its ferocious power shook heaven and earth. It opened its wide mouth, and a transparent venom was sprayed at Qin Feiyang. As for Dong Junyang and the others, it turned a blind eye. In this regard, Qin Feiyang was very calm. But Shenmei was complaining. Chapter 609. Qin Feiyang laughed. "Don't panic, I'm here." Hearing this, Shenmei's mind calmed down. The next moment, the two of them disappeared without a trace. Naturally, they had entered the ancient castle. Puchi, the venom sprinkled down, and within a radius of a few hundred meters, black smoke immediately rose into the air. The black smoke also carried a pungent stench. Inside the ancient castle, Ren Wushuang and the others were not distracted by the commotion outside, and focused on cultivating. Even when Qin Feiyang and Shenmei came in, no one opened their eyes to greet them with concern, because they knew that with their strength, they wouldn't be able to help at all. Rather than worrying about it, it was better to focus on closed-door cultivation. However, the moment Qin Feiyang entered the ancient castle, he felt an extremely powerful aura. This aura was almost at the level of a 2-star war master. He immediately looked towards the source of the aura. It turned out to be Wolf King. Wolf King was still lying on the altar. His eyes were slightly narrowed, as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. He was unprecedentedly peaceful. Moreover, its entire body was covered in hair, emitting a hazy light. Its entire body was filled with a divine aura, making it look like an immortal beast. What is it doing? Shenmei naturally noticed the change in Wolf King, and her face was filled with bewilderment. It should be the precursor to a breakthrough. Qin Feiyang whispered. So fast. Shenmei was shocked. Is it fast? If I remember correctly, it has been almost half a year since it broke through to the 1-star war master. Qin Feiyang laughed. This is already very fast, okay? Look at Morong Xiong and Dongfang Wuhan. They have already stepped into the 1-star war master a few years ago, but they still haven't broken through to the 2-star war master. You guys are really monsters. Shenmei sent a sound transmission, her eyes filled with helplessness. From Qin Feiyang's tone, he didn't seem to be very satisfied with Wolf King's speed. Wasn't this clearly infuriating? However, the Wolf King's breakthrough was definitely a joyous occasion worthy of celebration for everyone. This way, The spiritual state would finally have a 2-star battle ancestor. Suddenly, Shinmei seemed to have thought of something. She turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Oh right, why did you subdue that black dragon snake?" Secret. Qin Feiyang smiled mysteriously. Shinmei rolled her eyes. In the meantime, outside, seeing Qin Feiyang suddenly disappear, the black dragon snake was furious. It looked at Dong Xingyang and the others and roared. "Speak, where did that human go?" Dong Xingyang's eyes flashed as he asked, "What good will it do us if I tell you? You still dare to negotiate with this emperor? You really don't know the meaning of death." The black dragon snake's huge body shook, and a monstrous ferocious aura enveloped the group. Immediately, the few of them felt as if they had fallen into a 10,000-year-old ice cellar. Their entire bodies were cold. Morong Xiong immediately said, "He's in an ancient castle." "Morong Xiong, what are you doing? Who told you to talk so much?" Dong Xingyang shouted angrily. Shen Long and Jiang Wei also glared at him. Only Dongfang Wuhan did not say a word. Morong Xiong also immediately roared, "Can't you see? He has already abandoned us and escaped alone. You still want to care about him? Do you have nothing better to do? What a joke! He will escape alone. Only a little person like you can do this kind of thing." Dong Xingyang and the other two looked at him with disdain. "You all, simply stubborn. Believe it or not, when Qin Feiyang sells you off in the future, you will still have to help him count the money." Morong Xiong was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. "If I want to sell, I will sell you off first." At this moment, a faint laugh sounded. Before the voice faded, Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air. But Shinmei did not come out. Qin Feiyang let her temporarily stay in the ancient castle to protect Wolf King. Because the breakthrough was the most important, if there was interference, it was very likely that it would fail. Therefore, all hidden dangers must be eliminated in advance. "Humph." Morong Xiong turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang, snorted from his nose and said, "I thought you were hiding in there and did not dare to come out." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Although I am weak compared to some cowardly people, I am still much stronger." "Who are you calling cowardly?" Morong Xiong's eyes turned cold. "Did I say something wrong?" That little bug's tiger body trembled. "And you honestly told me where I was hiding. I don't understand. How can a dignified battle master be so cowardly?" Qin Feiyang shook his head, his face full of disappointment. But this sentence not only made Morong Xiong mad, it also thoroughly offended the black dragon snake. "Human, who are you calling a little bug? Say it again if you have the guts." The black dragon snake gnashed its teeth and stared at Qin Feiyang, its tone cold and bone-chilling. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the black dragon snake, and said with a smile, "Then I will say it again. Do you want to submit to me? Bastard, this emperor will tear you to pieces, and then crush your bones to ashes." The black dragon snake roared again and again. Its huge body trembled, and wisps of black flames rose from the surface of its body. This was its battle chi. Fierce beasts generally would not use battle chi, because their powerful body was their best weapon. But once it used battle chi, it meant that it was furious. Accompanied by a loud bang, the huge tail was raised high and suddenly fell down, stirring up a gust of wind. Swish! Qin Feiyang did not dare to hesitate. He used phantom steps and quickly dodged to the side. Just as his front foot left, the huge tail smashed down, and the phantom he left behind was instantly annihilated. A huge crack appeared on the ground. "Who told you to be so arrogant?" The black dragon snake sneered, thinking that it had killed Qin Feiyang's real body. "He's finally dead." At the same time, Morong Xiong and Dongfang Wuhan also let out a long sigh of relief in their hearts. And then a trace of ridicule crept up in their eyes, as if they were mocking Qin Feiyang for overestimating himself. That was close. But suddenly, a voice filled with lingering fear was transmitted to their ears. And this voice, the black dragon snake and Morong Xiong were stunned at first. Then they looked in the direction of the voice. They saw Qin Feiyang standing dozens of meters away, patting his chest with lingering fear. He didn't die. In the eyes of the two men and one beast, there was a deep sense of disbelief. At the same time, Dong Xingyang and the other two also let out a sigh of relief. When they saw Qin Feiyang being hit by the huge tail, they were scared out of their wits. Fortunately, it was just an illusion. Phew! Qin Feiyang took a deep breath, raised his head and looked at the black dragon snake, and said with a faint smile, "Looking at your appearance, you're disappointed that you couldn't kill me." The black dragon snake shook its huge head and said, "This is impossible. You're just a 9-star combat emperor. How can you be so fast?" Qin Feiyang laughed and said, "Haven't you heard of the perfect battle art?" "What?" The black dragon snake's body shook. This human actually mastered the perfect battle art? Oh my god. Who the hell is he? Suddenly, its eyes shone brightly, and it asked while breathing heavily, "If this emperor follows you, will you also give this emperor the perfect battle art?" "This?" Qin Feiyang hesitated for a moment, and said with a smile, "This depends on your performance. If your performance satisfies me, what's wrong with giving it to you?" The black dragon snake said, "Deal?" Qin Feiyang nodded. "Wait a moment, let this emperor think about it." After the black dragon snake finished speaking, it fell into a struggle. "That's it." Dong Xingyang and the others at the side looked at each other in dismay. Originally, they thought that Qin Feiyang would have to spend a lot of effort to subdue the black dragon snake, or even something that was impossible. However, they didn't expect that he would be able to make the black dragon snake lower its head so quickly. This guy really did have a trick up his sleeve. However, Morong Xiong and Dongfang Wuhan's expressions were slightly gloomy. Morong Xiong said in a sound transmission, "We must not let him succeed." "I know. Just Qin Feiyang himself, and that wolf cub are enough for us to deal with. If we let him subdue this powerful black dragon snake, it will be even more impossible to kill him." As Dongfang Wuhan said this, his heart moved, and he said to the black dragon snake, "Don't believe him, he's lying to you." "Lying to me?" The black dragon snake's eyes immediately burned with anger. "That's right. Perfect battle art is rare in the world. It's already very rare for him to have one. How could he have more? Moreover, I know him very well. There is no perfect battle art suitable for you to cultivate." Dongfang Wuhan said. "Damn bastard. You really deserve to die 10,000 times." The black dragon snake was enraged. Its entire body was filled with a murderous aura. Accompanied by a clanging sound, the dragon scale immediately cut through the sky and charged towards Qin Feiyang. And the sudden turn of events caused Qin Feiyang to turn pale with fright. He retreated without any hesitation. At the same time, he was extremely puzzled. Wasn't the black dragon snake already tempted? Why would it suddenly attack him again? "You dare to deceive this emperor. Today, this emperor will definitely let you die without a burial place." The black dragon snake had already gone crazy. Its huge tail suddenly smashed towards Qin Feiyang's back, cutting off his retreat and forcing Qin Feiyang to confront the dragon scale head-on. But these words made Qin Feiyang feel as if he had just woken up from a dream. How did the black dragon snake know that he was lying to it? Without a doubt, someone must have secretly instigated the black dragon snake before. Qin Feiyang glanced at Dong Xingyang and the others. Dong Xingyang, Shen Long, and Jiang Wei were all shocked. Obviously, they were also caught off guard by the black dragon snake's sudden action. But Morong Xiong and Dongfang Wuhan were worried. Normally, there should be no problem if they were worried about his safety. But in Qin Feiyang's opinion, there was a big problem. Because these two people couldn't wait to kill him immediately. How could they be worried about him? So, Qin Feiyang immediately dared to conclude that it was definitely these two people who were secretly playing tricks. "Just wait. Sooner or later, I'll make you cry." Qin Feiyang secretly sneered. He raised his head and looked at the dragon scale. His eyes flashed with a cold light. "Since the soft approach doesn't work, then I'll use the hard approach." He waved his hand and Chang Shui appeared. Immediately, he grabbed Chang Shui. Instead of retreating, he advanced and faced the dragon scale. "Stop." Dong Xingyang and the other two changed their expressions on the spot. Because in their opinion, Qin Feiyang's action was no different from courting death. "You have guts. If you can defeat me, even if you don't have a perfect battle art, I can still consider following you. But can you do it?" "Haha." The black dragon snake laughed wildly. Its eyes were full of contempt. Qin Feiyang said, Then let's make a bet. If I lose, I'll let you swallow me alive. But if I win by luck, you'll be loyal to me for the rest of your life. The black dragon snake was stunned. He actually used his life as a bet. Was there something wrong with this kid's head? You don't dare? It seems that you don't have confidence in your own strength. Qin Feiyang mocked. What a joke. There's nothing in the world that I don't dare to do. Since you want to be my food so much, I'll accompany you in this bet. Chapter 610. The black dragon snake nodded, and Qin Feiyang was energized, rushing towards the dragon scale like lightning. Because if he wanted to defeat the black dragon snake, he had to shatter the dragon scale first. In the blink of an eye, Qin Feiyang and the dragon scale met. Fight! Immediately, he activated the battle formula without hesitation, and his long black hair and eyes quickly turned blood red, as if they were dyed with blood. What an amazing fighting spirit! The black dragon snake's pupils shrank. Originally, Qin Feiyang was just a very small ant in its eyes. But now, in its eyes, he was like a barbaric war god descending into the world. It couldn't help but panic in its heart. Look at Qin Feiyang again. After activating the battle formula, he was only a few inches away from the dragon scale. The sharpness of the dragon scale was about to tear his body apart. Even with the protection of the battle formula, he felt the threat of death at this time. However, he didn't panic at all. Using the phantom steps, he took a step forward, and at the same time, turned his body sideways, and the dragon scale flew past in front of him. But before the dragon scale flew past, he suddenly raised the arm holding Chang Shui, and the blade gently scratched the dragon scale. All of this, it was all calculated in advance. Because, if he confronted the dragon scale head-on, he would suffer a full impact. After all, the dragon scale was very powerful, and even if Chang Shui destroyed the dragon scale, he would be blasted into dregs by the dragon scale, and not even a strand of hair would be left. And now, he turned sideways to avoid a head-on collision with the dragon scale, and only used Chang Shui's blade to gently scratch the dragon scale. In this way, the impact he suffered would be much less. The injury he would suffer would naturally not be so serious. As for whether this could destroy the dragon scale, Qin Feiyang didn't consider it at all, because with Chang Shui's sharpness, even if it was just a slight friction, he was confident that he could destroy the dragon scale. In the blink of an eye, Qin Feiyang leaned forward, and Chang Shui scratched the dragon scale, and immediately there was an ear-piercing sound of metal exploding. In the meantime, where Chang Shui and the dragon scale came into contact, dazzling sparks burst forth. However, all of this was like a flash in the pan, and it happened in an instant. However, although it was only a light slash, Qin Feiyang was still sent flying by the dragon scale. Not only was his body cracked, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and even his internal organs were shattered. As for the arm that was holding Chang Shui, it shattered on the spot, blood and flesh splattering everywhere. If he didn't have the battle character secret art, if he were to face Long Lin head-on, there was no doubt that his blood would have splashed across the sky. Bang! Qin Feiyang was like a cannonball, crashing into a huge boulder beside him. With a loud boom, the boulder was instantly shattered. Qin Feiyang was once again smashed into the ground, creating a deep pit. Dong Junyang and the others glanced at Qin Feiyang, and immediately looked at the dragon scale. The dragon scale was like a flying blade, constantly spinning in the air. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that there was a white mark on the dragon scale, but it was not broken. Upon realizing this, Dong Junyang and the others were immediately disappointed. But the black dragon snake's eyes were full of disdain. It lowered its head to look at Qin Feiyang lying in the deep pit, and said contemptuously, "Now do you know the gap between you and this emperor? But you're also quite impressive to not die like this." The corners of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched, and he said with a chuckle, "Thank you for the compliment." The black dragon snake was stunned. Even now he could still laugh. This human brat was quite interesting. Qin Feiyang struggled to get up, took out a 4-pattern regeneration pill, and a few healing pills, and stuffed them into his mouth. The medicinal pills melted as soon as they entered his mouth. Majestic energy surged to his limbs and bones like a torrent. To his fragmented physical body, this was simply like a sweet rain descending, frantically absorbing. His injuries also immediately healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, this could only treat the symptoms and not the root cause. Because the injuries were too serious, only the fire of life could completely heal. However, now was not the time to heal. He had to hold on. Just as Qin Feiyang took out the medicinal pills, the black dragon snake's pupils could not help but shrink, full of disbelief. Then, seeing Qin Feiyang's injuries recover at a terrifying speed, the surprise in its eyes became even stronger. Was this emperor's eyes playing tricks on him? It's actually 4 pill patterns. You're an alchemist? The black dragon snake asked. That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded. The black dragon snake said, well, now I'll give you a chance. As long as you agree to be this emperor's servant, this emperor will not kill you. You're so confident? The corners of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted slightly. Clang! Before his voice faded, a loud sound suddenly exploded, resounding through the heavens and earth, almost tearing everyone's eardrums. Everyone looked towards the sound, and suddenly turned pale with fright. They saw that the dragon scale rotating in the void suddenly split into 2 at this moment. Split into 2 halves. Then, the 2 halves of the dragon scale were fragmented and finally completely disintegrated, turning into powder. How is this possible? Seeing this scene, the black dragon snake's eyes almost popped out. At the same time, a trace of blood flowed from the corner of its mouth, and its aura suddenly dropped by a small realm. What's impossible? Qin Feiyang's voice sounded. He walked out of the deep pit step by step, his blood-red clothes fluttering in the wind, and his blood-red hair dancing in the wind. Dong Jungyang and the others looked over. In a trance, it was as if they had seen the return of an invincible war god. Their minds could not help but tremble. One must know, previously, they were unable to destroy the dragon scale even when they worked together, but now it was destroyed in the hands of Qin Feiyang. Just what level was this guy's strength at? Swish! Suddenly, several people looked at Chang Shui who had fallen to the ground, including the black dragon snake, their eyes shining. Especially Morong Xiong, Dongfang Wuhan, and the black dragon snake, their greed was undisguised. Morong Xiong clenched his fists, his eyes burning, and said, Dongfang Wuhan, do it! Dongfang Wuhan said, don't be impulsive, it's not wise to make a move now. What are you afraid of? As long as we get that dagger, even if Qin Feiyang and Dong Jungyang join forces, we can still kill them. Morong Xiong said. Heard. Dongfang Wuhan began to be tempted. Morong Xiong urged, hurry up, or it will be too late. Because Qin Feiyang was walking towards Chang Shui, Dongfang Wuhan glanced at Qin Feiyang, then glanced at Dong Jungyang and the other 2. Finally, he made up his mind and shouted, get it! Whoosh! Almost at the same time, the 2 shot out like a sharp arrow. And Dong Jungyang and the other 2 were stunned. Qin Feiyang also looked at the 2 suspiciously, but they were all smart people, and they immediately saw through the purpose of the 2. Dongfang Wuhan, Morong Xiong, what are you doing? Shen Long and Jiang Wei shouted, and did not hesitate to intercept Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong. But Dong Jungyang did not move. He glanced at them, his eyes flickering. But at the same time, the black dragon snake suddenly raised its huge tail and roared. The dagger is mine. Who dares to snatch it? Finished. It raised its huge tail high and smashed towards Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong. It seems that this dagger of mine is very popular. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Not only was he not worried at all, but he stopped and crossed his arms over his chest, looking at the black dragon snake, Dongfang Wuhan, and Morong Xiong with ridicule. Dongfang Wuhan looked at Qin Feiyang and shouted, Morong Xiong, you stop Shenlong and Jiang Wei. Boom! Morong Xiong suddenly turned around, his aura erupted, and his hands burst out, blasting towards Shenlong and Jiang Wei. You 2 really don't change. Shenlong and Jiang Wei shouted angrily, raised their fists, and blasted towards Morong Xiong with all their strength. At the same time, Dongfang Wuhan looked at the black dragon snake and sneered. Without the dragon scales, you are not even as good as an ant, and you still dare to be arrogant in front of me. He raised his hand and waved it. Battle chi surged, and a huge arrow appeared out of nowhere. Sun-breaking arrow die. Following that, Dongfang Wuhan roared towards the sky, and the arrow pierced through the air, shooting towards the black dragon snake's huge tail. The sun-breaking arrow was a superior battle art. At this moment, the black dragon snake's strength had been greatly reduced. Even if it had an astonishing defense, it would not be able to block the attack of the sun-breaking arrow. Boom! Immediately, its huge tail was shattered by the sun-breaking arrow, and blood flowed out like a fountain. Moreover, its huge body was sent flying as it howled miserably. Trash! Dongfang Wuhan laughed disdainfully and lowered his head to look at the dagger. His heart was immediately filled with greed as he crazily rushed towards the dagger. Ah! Just as the black dragon snake was sent flying by Dongfang Wuhan, another scream rang out. It was Morong Xiong's scream. Shen Long and Jiang Wei were both one-star war master now. With Morong Xiong's strength alone, how could he be their match? Just like the black dragon snake, he was directly blasted out, blood spurting out of his mouth. Dongfang Wuhan, stop being stubborn. After sending Morong Xiong flying, Shen Long and Jiang Wei chased after Dongfang Wuhan without stopping. Dongfang Wuhan turned his head and glanced at the two of them, and roared. What benefits did Qin Feiyang give you to make you work so hard for him? Shen Long said. He was the one who gave us the pill to let us step into the War Master. Just based on this, we should repay him. Pill, it really is a pill. Dongfang Wuhan's gaze trembled. But what kind of pill was it? Was there such a magical pill in the world? Forget it. Compared to that pill, this dagger is more important. He muttered to himself. At this time, he was only 5 or 6 meters away from Changshui. With his cultivation, it could be said that he could easily obtain it. Wait until I get the dagger. All of you will die. Dongfang Wuhan roared in his heart, and then pounced towards Changshui. His face even revealed an expression of ecstasy. Crash. However, at this moment, a dark iron chain cut through the sky like lightning and wrapped around Dongfang Wuhan's waist. Freeze! Next, Dong Jingyang's shout rang out, and the iron chain immediately released a black light, and an obscure aura spread out. Dongfang Wuhan was frozen in the air on the spot. This time, he was dumbfounded. The dagger was right in front of his eyes. But at this moment, it was as if there was a heavenly moat between them, something that could be seen but not touched. This kind of feeling made him go crazy. His anger burned the sky. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed deeply, walked step by step in front of Changshui, bent down and picked it up. Looking at the angry Dongfang Wuhan, he said, Is it that easy to steal my things? With that, Qin Feiyang raised his head to look at Dong Jingyang and laughed. Brother Dong, let him go. Dong Jingyang was stunned. Chapter 611. They all thought that Qin Feiyang would directly kill Dongfang Wuhan this time. But they didn't expect that he would let him go. When did this guy become so magnanimous? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, This dagger can cut through iron like mud. It can be said to be a peerless treasure. If it were me, I would also be tempted. Therefore, his previous actions are understandable. The three of them were stunned. He was really considerate. But why did it seem a little ironic? Dongfang Wuhan also looked at Qin Feiyang strangely. Was there really nothing wrong with this person's head? Let him go. I believe that this time he will repent. Qin Feiyang smiled at Dong Jingyang, then looked down at Dongfang Wuhan and said with a smile, Am I right, senior brother Wuhan? Dongfang Wuhan was stunned and hurriedly said, Yes, I will definitely turn over a new leaf. Dong Jingyang coldly glanced at Dongfang Wuhan, then looked at Qin Feiyang and frowned. Are you sure you want to do this? Qin Feiyang nodded. Dong Jingyang didn't say anything more, and put away the battle soul. Since the person involved didn't pursue the matter, if he, as a bystander, didn't let it go, it would seem that he was too nosy. Without the restraint of the battle soul, Dongfang Wuhan moved his body and cupped his hands. Junior brother Qin, thank you for your magnanimity. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. I have already let you go several times, there must not be a next time. No. Dongfang Wuhan waved his hands again and again. But he was really puzzled. What kind of trick was Qin Feiyang playing? He absolutely didn't believe that Qin Feiyang was magnanimous. One must know, in the past, the Lu and Dong families have been exterminated just because they had offended him. It could be seen that he was a ruthless character. Could it be that there was really something wrong with his head? At this time, Murong Xiong, who was not far away, also got up and looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. Shenlong immediately pointed at Murong Xiong and asked Qin Feiyang, "What about him?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "We can't favor one and discriminate against the other. Since we have forgiven senior brother Wuhan, we naturally have to forgive senior brother Murong. Even let him go." Dong Junyang and the other two looked at each other, their minds in a mess. Murong Xiong was also stunned, unable to speak for a long time. Dongfang Wuhan coughed dryly and shouted, "Murong Xiong, why haven't you thanked junior brother Qin for sparing your life?" Yes. Murong Xiong quivered and hurriedly bowed. "Senior martial brother Qin, thank you for letting bygones be bygones. Don't worry, I'll do my best to assist you in killing all the enemies." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. "Thank you for your support, senior brother Murong." Of course. Murong Xiong quickly smiled apologetically. Qin Feiyang said, "Let's go and meet that black dragon snake again." Dong Junyang shook his head and said, "With your injuries, it'll be difficult for you to even walk. I'll go. You just wait here." "Why should you go?" "If you want to go, he should go, because he was the one who sent me flying." Shenlong snorted and glanced at Dongfang Wuhan as he spoke. "What's the problem?" "I'll go." "Murong Xiong, come and help me," Dongfang Wuhan said with a smile. After that he rushed forward. "You wait a moment." Murong Xiong smiled embarrassedly at Qin Feiyang and the other two and quickly followed. As soon as the two left, Dong Junyang asked, "Qin Feiyang, what do you want to do?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "As a person, don't be too ruthless. You have to leave a way out for others." Tch. Dong Junyang and the other two immediately revealed a look of disdain. If this sentence came from someone else's mouth, they might still believe it. But if it came from Qin Feiyang's mouth, it would be strange if they believed it. However, Qin Feiyang didn't want to say, so they didn't ask. "Brother Qin, when Dongfang Wuhan pounced on the dagger, why didn't you seem worried at all?" Jiang Wei was suspicious. "That dagger is psychic. It has accompanied him in battle for many years, and has long recognized him as its master. As long as he wills it, it will return to his hands. What is he worried about?" Dong Junyang pursed his lips and said, "So that's how it is." Jiang Wei suddenly realized. Dong Junyang continued, "Moreover, if I'm not wrong, he was using Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong just now." Use. Shenlong and Jiang Wei didn't understand. Qin Feiyang looked at Dong Junyang in surprise and said with a smile, "Tell me, how did I use them? You still want to test me? Okay, I'll tell you. With your current state, even if the black dragon snake's dragon scales are destroyed, you won't be able to defeat it. So, you used Chang Shui to tempt Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. Similarly, you also expected that the black dragon snake would definitely snatch it. At that time, when the two of them and the black dragon snake fight, it will definitely be a situation where both sides suffer. And you just need to sit back and reap the benefits. Am I right?" Dong Junyang said. "Clang." "Haha," Qin Feiyang laughed. But this laugh pulled at the wound in his body, and blood began to flow from the corner of his mouth. He hurriedly stopped talking, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and gave Dong Junyang a thumbs up. Dong Junyang's brain was indeed not something that Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong could compare to. Shenlong and Jiang Wei, who were at the side, were stunned. Jiang Wei shook his head and said, "I didn't expect there to be so many mysteries hidden in this. You people are really too treacherous." Shenlong sighed and said, "Yes, compared to you, Jiang Wei and I are as simple as children." Dong Junyang's face twitched and said, "Are you saying that we are treacherous in disguise? You admitted it yourself." "We didn't say that." Shenlong laughed and said, "But just now when I saw you standing there and didn't understand, I thought you were also coveting that dagger." Dong Junyang was stunned and said with a wry smile, "To be honest, if I said I didn't want such a sharp dagger, would you believe me?" Shenlong was stunned. Indeed, who wouldn't want such a treasure? Jiang Wei asked. Then why didn't you do it? Didn't I just say that Qin Feiyang only needs to think, and the dagger will return to his hand? Is there any point in me doing it? Besides, you two are helping him, so I don't dare to do it, Dong Jungyang said with a smile. Come on. The two couldn't help but roll their eyes at him. Before in the inner palace, their relationship was not so good, and it could even be said that they were competitors. But after this period of time together, everyone had subconsciously regarded each other as friends. Only the relationship between Qin Feiyang and Dong Jungyang was somewhat complicated. At the same time, when Wu Yan and the others in the castle heard these words, they also became more and more fearful of Qin Feiyang. To be able to casually scheme against Dongfang Wuhan, this kind of scheming was really frightening. This also made them even more determined to not offend this person again. Boom! Suddenly, not far ahead, there was a deafening explosion, followed by an intense battle ripple. Shen Long looked up and said, "They are fighting." Dong Jungyang said, "Don't worry with their strength, it's more than enough to deal with the current black dragon snake, I'm afraid." Jiang Wei asked, "What are you afraid of?" "I'm afraid that they will kill the black dragon snake, because once the black dragon snake is subdued by Qin Feiyang." At this point, Dong Jungyang did not continue, because everyone could think of the reason. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows slightly, but suddenly, his eyes trembled, and he shouted, "Something's wrong." "What's wrong?" The three were surprised. Qin Feiyang said, "Carefully sense, the aura that is fighting with them is very strange. It's not the black dragon snake." The three carefully sensed, and their faces were suddenly filled with surprise. It was indeed not the black dragon snake. The aura of the black dragon snake was filled with a dark and cold aura. But at this time, the fierce beast that was fighting with Dongfang Wuhan had a brutal and bloody aura. Qin Feiyang said, "Let's go and take a look." Dong Jungyang immediately waved his hand, rolled up Qin Feiyang, and rushed towards the location of the battle wave. Shen Long and Jiang Wei followed them closely. After dozens of breaths, the four of them came to a short mountain. The short mountain was 50 to 60 feet tall, and the vegetation was lush. But at this moment, the short mountain trembled violently, and waves of gravel kept rolling down. The four of them looked at each other and quickly climbed up. Standing at a commanding height, they looked ahead, and their faces immediately changed. More than 200 meters in front of them, there was a huge monster. It was a giant crocodile. Its body was more than 40 meters long. Its head was like a dragon's head, and its ferocious aura was monstrous. Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong joined forces, but they were still beaten back, their bodies dripping with blood. Around them, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The earth within 1,000 meters was shaking. Dragon crocodile. Could it be the crocodile emperor? Shen Long said in surprise. Jiang Wei said solemnly, "Nonsense, it must be the crocodile emperor. Quickly analyze its cultivation." Dong Jungyang said, "No need to analyze, it's a 2-star battle ancestor." Fortunately, Shen Long and Morong Xiong immediately breathed a sigh of relief. It was just that it was not impossible to kill a 2-star battle ancestor. Dong Jungyang turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said, "You wait here, we'll go help." "Be careful," Qin Feiyang warned. Whoosh! The three of them rushed out and went straight to the battlefield. Sensing the three's aura, Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong looked back and were instantly overjoyed. Kill! As soon as Dong Jungyang and the other two arrived, they unleashed their aura and fought with the crocodile emperor. "You lowly humans, not only did you not kneel when you saw me, but you even attacked me. How dare you?" The crocodile emperor shouted. Its giant tail rose into the air and slapped the ground. Boom! Immediately, the air billowed, and the 5 of them were sent flying, their faces pale. After Dong Jungyang stabilized his body, he shouted, "Use your battle arts, don't hold back." Boom! The 5 of them attacked at the same time, instantly evolving 5 powerful battle arts and attacking the crocodile emperor. At the same time, Qin Feiyang looked at the crocodile emperor in surprise. The crocodile emperor's voice was actually a woman's voice. In other words, it was a female crocodile. Boom! But in the face of 5 great battle arts, the crocodile emperor did not retreat. It still raised its giant tail and swept it, showing its strength. Accompanied by an earth-shattering sound, the crocodile emperor's giant tail was torn open on the spot. Blood poured out like a waterfall, dyeing the void red. However, Dong Jungyang and the other four were also sent flying, blood spurting out from their mouths. What a strong defense! It's more than a few times stronger than the crocodile emperor. The 5 of them narrowed their eyes, but it was not that they could not win. The 5 of them regrouped and attacked the crocodile emperor again. All of them murderous. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.